Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your boy Shaheener coming at you with another episode of the Pokemon Babblers podcast, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Bono. I don't know where he went. All I see
Where'd
is just
he go?
yeah.
Where'd he go?
I think he's in Vegas.
You're so far away.
Yeah.
Where are you,
no.
Alex?
I'm so
Where are
sorry.
you? I can't get to you.
Okay, and today we have a very, very special guest. He is a longtime friend of ours, a longtime fan of the channel. Also, he does great work on twitch.tv/Gerg's Games, the one, the only Mr. Greg himself.
How's it going? Just happy to be here.
Yeah.
To bring my 2 cents on the best Pokemon game they've made.
Debatable, which we will later on. So today, of course, we are going to be...
Was he in the last episode? I can't remember. Was he in the last episode?
Yeah, the Hive Mind says that Heart Gold and Soul Silver is the best one. And so...
Yeah, but do you want to be in the Hive or do you want to be right?
I kind of want to be where I'm comfortable, bro. Like, I mean, if I didn't say that, then I get crucified. But...
Alright.
Anyways.
Moving on. Anywho.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about the generation of games that actually inspired this podcast from the inception of, what were we, like 14?
Yeah.
Walking around Rockland?
Pretty much. I mean, these games came out when we were younger, but, like, we definitely had, our fruitful conversations.
We were, like, 8.
Yeah. Exactly. We were just wee lads. So, of course, we are talking about the games that are the main games for Pokemon Generation 3, which are Pokemon Ruby, Pokemon Sapphire, and later on we'll be talking about the definitive edition, which is Pokemon Emerald. Basically, this podcast started because when we were in high school, like our freshman year, Bono and I would walk around the city and we would just talk about we would talk about Pokemon, go grab Pokemon cards, and just like that was just our thing, is like adventuring and just conversing about it. And years later, we were like, hey, why don't we just record our conversations? I mean, now since we have cars, we're not, like, walking places, really. We're driving there. So might as well just, like, record it for the internet. We're already making content on the internet, so might as well just, like, do this, too.
All right.
Premium content, man.
Yeah.
Premium content.
Thank you.
For those who don't know, we're going to the top, right?
All the way to the top, baby.
Our fourth trailer
Let's
video
go.
is already growing.
Yeah, it's our our fourth trailer reaction video for Scarlet and Violet's already our most viewed Babblers to date. And so thank you guys for the support on all the videos that we've been putting out. Thank you, Greg, for your support, by the way. I'm just going to say it directly on here. But,
yeah, it's me and 259 of my best bots.
Hey, there we go. Still better than no bots. But actually, do you, before we get started, if you want to, actually, Greg, if you want to give us, like, your introduction to the Pokemon franchise, like, how did you find out about Pokemon? What led you to, like, falling in love with Ruby and Sapphire more than the others? And yeah, if you want to give us.
So I actually first started with Pokemon Yellow. I didn't have Red or Blue, and I was such a stupid little kid that I only got to Surge, and then I couldn't ever get past it. I would, like, wander around, but I couldn't do it. So I would keep on restarting that point. And then I wasn't, like, rich, so then I didn't get, like, the silver and gold. I just got Crystal. And Crystal just blew my mind.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was my favorite at the time. And I still think it is the best game, but it's not my favorite. It was just a combination of maturity and new hardware and the visible screen and the handheld that really I started with Ruby. That it was really what got my mind into it. And then when Emerald came out, I think this is the only gen that I had the first and second game. I don't think there's another gen where I got, like, the first. I always got the first one, but never the second. So, like, I got Pearl, but I never got Platinum. And every time I went back to wanting to play a game, it would always come back to Ruby or Emerald. And I've played playthroughs of every starter. I've done every combination you could do for, like, a team, and it's just been the game that I would always come back to. And it was probably just that maturity age finally got to it, and you know what, it was just so much water that it was just so good for me.
Oh yeah, some say it was too much water. How do you feel about
hydrate, all right?
Yeah,
we live in the Central California where there's no water, so any water is.
Dude, it was raining today over here. Like, shockingly enough, it's been raining like random showers, and it was good. Like, I mean, we just
like somebody used drizzle, right?
Yeah.
100% thunder, 100% hurricane. I mean, you know.
Mr. Solar Beam would like to say something at every other day.
Mr. Solar Beam ain't gonna be around for another 6 months. All right.
Yeah, Mr. Solar Beam is already been here to stay.
it's time to drizzle.
Okay, so yeah, that's basically like Ruby and Sapphire. I feel like are the games where I just like, I don't know, that like you said is the maturity age for all of us because we're all the same age. Like we're like 9 or
me. I'm a year younger than both of you.
You're
like
no, you're like 4
you're like
months.
yeah, you're like less than 7 months younger than me. So
4 months, a year,
yeah.
It was the same thing.
Yeah, so like
What
we're like
is age just a number, Bono?
oh my
It's always been a number.
my
Speaking of numbers, these games released in Japan on November 21st, 2002. And so these are obviously during the time period where games would come out in Japan before they would come out here. Unfortunately, there was like basic internet, so we couldn't get the ROMs of Ruby and Sapphire and play them on whatever PC.
Yeah, about that.
When did they actually start releasing at the same time? Because for as long as
X and
X and Y.
Didn't you watch the episode on X and Y? Like, bruh, we talked about this.
I don't remember that part of it.
And by the way, you can check that out in the link right up here.
Yeah, that was the first worldwide release they did. But every game up until that, it was Japan first, then us.
Mm-hmm. And then Australia.
No, literally the us.
Yeah, it was the us, and then it was Australia, and then it was Europe after that. And so, yeah, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire first came out to Japan November 21st of 2002, then to America March 19th, 2003, to Australia April 3rd, 2003, so less than a month after, which is kind of cool. And then it didn't get to Europe until July 25th of 2003, which they had to wait almost a whole year since Japan got it. That's crazy.
I forget. Is it only the American team that had the 4 people?
I don't know. That'd be news to me.
Because I remember up until like Diamond and Pearl, the translations were done by like a group of 4 people, and there was that one guy that they made a card of, and he's been in like every game since.
Yeah,
the translations for US and Australia and like England, they're all English. So like, why would they?
Yeah, no, they had to add all the they had to make it upside down for Australia.
Oh, they had to say good A.
Yeah.
They had to turn everything upside down.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's Malamar mode basically.
I remember getting a bookmark that had the box art for Ruby and Sapphire before the games came out, and I was like legit just like fucking like hyped for it when it was coming out.
So yeah, me too. I was because I remember for my because it came out around my 9th birthday. Actually, what was the day again that it came
March
out?
19th.
Yeah, it came out the week before my birthday, and my parents like March 27th.
Oh, okay.
And so
PO box in the description down below for Alex's birthday.
If I had a PO box for people to send me stuff, that'd be cool. But anyways,
I think I got it for Easter. I think actually most of my Pokemon games I got for Easter of all things.
Interesting.
I think I remember getting Crystal for Easter. I think I got this for Easter.
You got like Pokemon Crystal, right? Not like Crystal.
Oh no, that sweet Crystal.
I've been watching too much Breaking Bad.
I remember having to put rocks in a wheelbarrow from my aunt's backyard to get her to buy it for me.
Yeah. I mean, hey, whatever
manual labor.
Whatever you got to do.
He didn't do anything specific. She just wanted to fuck with him.
Yeah.
No, she wanted to like level her backyard, but there was so many. Like she wanted to like get like the ride-on mower, but there's like so many rocks.
Why didn't she just get
every rock
Why didn't she just get the Koraidon motor?
I don't know. Little 8-year-old Bono just grabbing little rocks with his little hands and just
sweating in the fields. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, no, he had to use a shovel because his hands couldn't hold the rocks because they were too small. But yeah, so they got both Ruby and Sapphire. My parents got both Ruby and Sapphire. Well, I guess I should just say my dad because my mom wasn't like at the house at that point. It's a long story, but yeah. So it's like he was just like, okay, you pick one, and then your brother gets the other one. And so that's basically, it was almost like picking a starter. It's like you had to pick your favorite one. And so being the big-brained intellectual I was,
Chad that you were,
I picked Ruby.
Yeah.
And so
the only games they had
you look at the cover and you're like, this freaking behemoth
dinosaur.
Monster dinosaur awesome, or I could have a fish.
Fish.
Yeah, but I always thought that Groudon was going to be Fire Steel type. In my head, like when I saw the pictures originally, I was like, this is going to be Fire Steel, I swear to God.
I thought it was Fire Ground.
Yeah, and then it turned to, it turned to be just pure ground type. But everybody called it Groudon, like it was like ground. But it was Groudon, there's no N in the middle, it's the N at the end. And so it's like, I always heard that, it's like, are you just being nasally, or do you think it's actually called Groudon?
I spent Groudon through like my entire childhood because
So
he
were
is
you?
a ground
Let me ask you:
mon.
were you nasally, or were you intentionally saying that to piss other people off?
Probably a little bit of both.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But
It's just Kyogre, guys. It's simple. Kyogre. That's it. There was no.
it's Ogren. Kyogren.
It's Cal.
It's Kiao. We are derailing
obviously,
this.
these games came out on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, first games for the Game Boy Advance.
I think it's the reason most people bought the Game Boy Advance. Is this was.
It's the system
I don't think I had any game before this. I think this is what I got it for.
I had Pro BMX for the Game Boy Advance.
Classic.
I played the shit out of that game.
I don't remember what games I had for the Game Boy that weren't Pokemon. I don't think I played any other games.
But that's it.
I just had Pokemon and Mario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Classic Nintendo for me, though. But
yeah, I didn't have any Mario games for the Game Boy Advance. I remember I had.
Yeah, I was to say I did have. I think it was Pokemon, but I think I also had the Mega Man Battle Network games. But that's about it.
But like you look at, it sold 16.22 million copies, and I think a lot of that was selling because of the GBA. I think this kind of. Do you know when the GBA launched?
That was like 2001, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 2001. Let me take a look.
But I think I got one because of Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah,
I think I was using the color for everything else, and I was like, okay, I don't need those games, and I needed the new Pokemon.
Yeah, it came out to Japan March 21st, 2001, and then the US in June 11th, 2001. So, it was like right before. But yeah, those ended up being the best-selling games on the system, which really is the case for all the handhelds, honestly, is that Pokemon's always going to be number one.
I know Greg's going to know the answer to this, but I want to see if Alex will know the answer. Okay. So back when these games launched, I remember getting it, I was playing it, and I was watching like WB with Kids cartoons in the morning, right?
Okay.
And they were just about to air the Pokemon Advance, whatever it is. I think it was Advance of the season with Ruby and Sapphire. But before that, they were premiering a new show. Some people might remember as Shaolin Showdown.
Yes.
And there was a fucking tie-in event with Shaolin Showdown and Pokemon. That for that network, you have to remember what the first Shengon Wu they battled for. Put it and mail it into WB headquarters, and you could receive a free copy of Ruby or Sapphire. You said to put the copy of the one you wanted on there, and then the answer, and send it in. I remember sending it in on a Ponyta postcard that I got from like a Pokemon postcard set, and I put Ruby, and I put the freaking the first Shengon Wu that they battled for. Alex, what is the first Shengon Wu that they had a Shaolin Showdown for?
Oh no, don't put me on the spot like this. I used to watch Shaolin Showdown, but I don't remember.
Greg, do you remember what it is? Don't say what it is.
I don't remember the first Shengon Wu. I'm sorry.
You get a minute. Come on.
Do you even remember any?
No, I don't remember anything.
I want to say it was the two-tongue tunic.
It's not the two-tongue tunic.
All I remember from that show is that the main kid, what was his name, like Umi?
Umi.
Yeah, and he was just like, I have angry...
Umi, Clay, Kimiko, and Raymundo.
Oh my god. Yeah, Raymundo, like rocket power. But I remember Umi was trying to like learn the American slang, and he was like, I have angry skills. Okay. That's it.
The first Shengon Wu they battled for was the Mantis flip coin.
Oh my god!
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. I remember watching that episode, seeing the promotion, running to my room, grabbing the fucking Ponyta postcard, writing Mantis flip coin in like scribbled ass English, and then put Pokemon Ruby and sending it in.
And you never got it.
But yeah, unfortunately, I did not win.
Wait. So when you got the offer to have a game, what did you ask for?
I asked for Ruby because I already had Sapphire.
No, okay. A likely story.
Okay.
Utilizing rat tactics, I see. I mean, what else is new?
Yes, I tried to get the second one by watching TV.
Yeah. But so let's continue from there, I guess. So yeah, like Greg said, they sold 16.22 million copies worldwide, and they easily are the best-selling Game Boy Advance games. And they added a lot of new mechanics. I think now with the upgraded hardware of these games that they're able to do a lot more. There's a total overhaul of a lot of the just core gameplay mechanics of these ones.
I think it would be very hard.
I think it would be very hard to find a gen where they had a bigger jump for mainstay things that have happened. I think this is the one that really started and revolutionized how Pokemon was played. And the first thing was abilities.
Yeah.
Going back to Pokemon, and you go back to playing that, and you're like, I didn't know that they didn't have abilities before. I didn't realize that, and now abilities is everything.
Never had to worry about levitate.
When you talk about competitive and stuff like that, if Regigigas didn't have an awful ability, he'd be broken. So it's something that's simple that they put into the game that has changed the entire way from that point onward on what they are.
Legends Arceus didn't have abilities.
Just name a few that are like mainstays, like Wonder Guard with Shedinja. Like that crazy ability that has been throughout. There's just Gengar used to be terrible, and then Gengar was magnificent.
Yeah.
Then it became terrible because they gave it levitate and then they took it away.
And they never gave Magneton or any of that whole line levitate either, so it's still like a huge target to ground type moves, which I thought was hilarious. Like, because it's obviously levitating in its sprite, but it doesn't have levitate.
I feel like it just gave another strategy to where it wanted to be a strategy game. Yeah. It was another thought process that you had to do behind it, where it just wasn't like, I just have a level 100 Typhlosion, I win. It was just something else that was like.
Yeah, like I said, we were too young. We were so young to like understand the intricacies of it. I just hated every Pokemon that had Intimidate because it would make the battles last longer. Yeah, you would have to go through the whole animation.
Right. Yeah, because I didn't know any better of turning off the battle animations back then, so I always kept them on until like way later. I think like Gen 6 or 7 might have been the first generation where I turned off battle effects.
I know this is a brief little tangent, but did you know that for speedrunners purposefully kill all shinies because it makes their game, every battle, it makes their game take longer because they have to do the animation for the shiny. So they purposely kill the shinies to not increase their game time.
Yeah, animals is what they are.
I can see that, but also
same as your battle animation thing, though.
I mean, to be fair, during Magikarp March, I was running away from shinies, so.
Animal.
What could I say? Oh, by the way, I want to bring it up right now. You still owe me a shiny Magikarp plush. Where is it?
Hold on.
He's a little strapped. He's waiting for his YouTube revenue.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that check.
Oh man, we're gonna have to wait a little while for that one. But hey, if you want to see us get to that sooner and get that revenue, you want to maybe hit that subscribe button. That would really help us out.
But yeah, abilities were really. I feel like it made so many Pokemon more unique and better, but it also made some just worse and dumb, and still continues to do so. And they use it as a hindrance.
Probably like the biggest representative of that in this game is Blackoth and Slacking with Truant.
Yeah, Truant was so stupid. That's the main reason why I didn't use those Pokemon. Or at least if I had one of them, I kept it as a Vigoroth.
Yeah, it was one of the only reasons people used Vigoroth and didn't evolve it, because
Slaking's ability was so bad.
Every other turn is just awful.
Cute Charm is another annoying one.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the other ones, but like that was the one just immediately I thought of that I just hated. But
Shedskin was cool. Actually taught me about abilities. I think that's because I had Dratini a lot in Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Oh right.
They had Kecleons, and that was really cool.
And that also helped you think about like, okay, what move am I going to do, and then I got to do the move that's good against that one. So
if you can't one-shot it, you have to actually add strategy to it.
Exactly, but having that for yourself, honestly, I wouldn't care for it. But like battling against it was cool.
I don't want to talk about Kecleon because I'm just going to get mad that it's shiny is what it is and it's not purple like the Mystery Dungeon game.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, that was very frustrating sometimes where they show like an alternate colored Pokemon in different media, but then when you go back to the main games, it's not that, like the pink Butterfree in the anime, or the Crystal Onyx in the anime,
or the pink Pokemon from the Pink Island
in the anime.
Yeah. Abilities, I feel like, is one of the things that this game brought that has fundamentally changed.
Another thing that they added that helps a bit, natures.
Well, did it really help 8-year-old Alex?
I mean, I didn't pay attention to it.
So natures are a thing that like you could still talk to me about, and I know, like another thing, have been in the game forever since. if you asked me what my Pokemon nature was, or what I want it to be, I still have no idea.
Same.
Okay.
And I know like Patrick and you will be like, oh, it has this type of nature, meaning it has a better special attack, meaning I could do this, and I'm like, everything dies in one hit when it's all level 100.
I just use Smogon.
Doesn't matter.
Like I use Smogon for my natures.
What stat does Timid boost?
I don't know, probably something defensive because it's timid.
Probably, I mean,
But F.
yeah, I'd probably say like regular defense if I had to be.
Can you do the Jeopardy sound over this? Like, no, it would boost speed.
Yeah, because timid would boost speed.
Timid boosts speed.
I'll be timid. I'm just so much faster.
Yeet.
I mean, yeah, they definitely add like a lot. So natures by themselves will boost two specifics, or boost one and debuff one stat depending on what nature the Pokemon has.
Weird.
Which is also something they changed in this game with the IVs instead of the DV system.
Is it only when you caught it would have that nature, or every level you get a higher in those two stats and a less in another stat?
No, it's whenever you catch it, it's generated upon encounter.
Okay.
That's so weird.
So like if you were trying to get the top percentage of Rattata, you would be looking for a specific nature with attack and speed.
Yeah.
Probably timid.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So like it is something that like is valuable if you want to be the very best.
Yeah, exactly.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, because at least when I follow guides on Smogon, they have like the ideal ability that you should have, but also it's like I'm gonna have to be so lucky or catch like a million of this one Pokemon or hatch a million of this one Pokemon just to get the nature that I want. Like it's just so time consuming for me as like a normie that like I just couldn't delve into it. If I happen to have the right ability, awesome, cool. But I'm not gonna like break my neck just to freaking like.
And here we are, Gen 8 with ability patches and ability capsules.
I was about to say, isn't there more natures too? Now we have like the nicknames and stuff behind it. Like Patrick has like a Zapdos that is. Like...
Oh, the marks? No.
Yeah.
I think the natures have stayed the same since Inception.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are neutral natures that don't boost anything, which are pretty stinkers.
So like it has a purpose, but like there's probably 90% of people who didn't know that was happening, whereas abilities, everybody knew that it was a new thing, that it was something.
Because I saw that
There's
there was a nature, but I didn't
nature
pay
mints,
attention.
The mints are the nature ones.
Right,
yeah.
right. There are.
So now you can change natures on the fly. So we've evolved from our archaic ways of just trying to find a relaxed Geodude or a adamant Bagon. We can just make our own now. Yeah.
Also, another thing that they added. This isn't like for the individual Pokemon, let's say, but just like as a gameplay mechanic, they added double battles in this game. The first generation with double battles. So instead
Very
of just
limited,
being
though.
and Ruby and Sapphire is limited.
I was so happy with it because
too.
when I was little and I played Pokemon, I had my starter, and I had one other backup just in case my starter died. That's how I play. I was going to have two. My other four are just HM slaves. That's all I would use them for. But literally it would just be two main people. So then when it came to this game, and I was like, awesome, I have my starter and I have my Breloom, and they both just go heavy. And also the strategy with that, it made some moves, it increased the worthness of some moves. Like I feel like even though Hydro Pump is amazing, I'm never not going to have Surf on a water type Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because of that bonus.
But then also it could be a detriment depending on what you have. Like if you have Earthquake and your partner Pokemon doesn't have Levitate or is a flying type, then you're kind of messing with them too. Or like an Explosion or something of that sort.
But more strategy, which is always a good thing in these type of games.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, because these games didn't really have too many double battles, but then as you get into the...
I'm pretty sure you can count them on two hands.
Exactly.
Yeah, but there was a gym, so at least they went...
gym with two Pokemon.
At least they went hard with it.
Yeah.
It's from all the other games, it's the one core mechanic that has stayed constant.
That's actually in a gym battle.
But other games have added different battle types, like the rotating, the raid things. Yeah. But all the games have double battles.
Yeah. Also,
it is another thing that has stayed throughout the entirety.
But there's a couple games that are only double battles,
which are probably the best games.
Probably the best game.
Coliseum and XD Gale of Darkness are both
weird.
only double battles. There's no single battles unless you go into like the stadium mode or whatever.
If they were so good, how come Alex rage quits when he plays them?
Because I'm terrible at video games. We've established this. I'm literally bad at video games, and that's just as flat out as it gets. And it's not even. And I'm not even saying that to be like meek or whatever. I'm saying that as a fact. It's like I'm bad at video games, and I take it to heart way too easily, and I just can't handle that and be like, oh yeah, it's just a game, whatever. It's like I get mad and it bothers me.
But I feel like there still were a lot of double battles in like the Team Magma and Team Aqua battles. I feel like they did a lot with the grunts and stuff like that.
But what about Team Ligma?
Team Sky.
I feel like they used it. They were dipping their feet into it and see how people liked it. And I think because it was such a success, it's always been in every game since.
That's the thing. I think they obviously introduced it as like a new thing in this one, but I can't. It's always hard to tell whether or not when they add stuff like this, they wanted to test the water, and then when it comes to like at least with these earlier games, because there's always the base game, and then there's the refined version. This one being Emerald, I can't tell if like once they had Sapphire and people were like okay with the ideas of double battle, which is why they started to implement it more in Emerald, because like the amount of double battles you can initiate in Emerald are a lot more than they are in Sapphire.
But I think that was the plan, because where they had it initially, where they had all those battles, all they had to do is there were two trainers, one was looking like this and this, and all they did was, I think they designed it so that if they like it, they just make him like that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many spots where they lined it up initially, but they were like, nah, we're not ready for it. And then Emerald and every possibility. The trainers were almost in the same position as they were in the previous game. It's just now they have line of sight.
And sometimes like you could single them out and do like a one-on-one. But if you just didn't pay attention or wanted to double battle, you're pretty much guaranteed that you'll be having that with almost every single trainer. Which, I mean, I welcomed it with open arms. It was great.
Like I said, it was just another reason to see more of my party. Instead of having to purposely swap in, swap out.
Exactly.
Doing like that.
Yeah, because I mean, as I've said a few times before, I always keep the starter, but I try to switch it up if I can. If there are other Pokemon that were completely worth it. Oh, gosh, I can't even remember what my original team was back in Ruby. I literally can't remember. Although, I do remember my very first starter was Mudkip.
Yeah, it was Swampert.
Yeah.
Mine was Blaziken, Torchic.
That's the one that I didn't use. I didn't use the other starters as much. Like I didn't use Blaziken or Sceptile as much. I pretty much just stuck with Swampert.
I love Sceptile.
Oh, same.
I absolutely love Sceptile. And now when I replay the games, like I know Swampert is just freaking broken. I know he's the best because you can learn Blizzard too, and he has such typing against like it's so good.
Exactly.
You wall the third gen leader.
But there's something about Sceptile that makes like hitting something with a leaf blade, even though it's physical, like all that stuff, like there's something about it that just like it makes the game feel harder, but it also makes it feel more fun to me. Like I like the speed Pokemon in there, and like I feel like you are climbing uphill for most of the game, and it gives it another challenge. I feel like if you have Swampert on your team, you don't need anybody. The other 5 people don't matter. Whereas if you go like Sceptile, I know I went Azumarill, I went Mightyena, like you had to like camera up, you had to have your specific team because you have this glaring weakness.
Exactly. Also, that's a good segue you mentioned a moment ago with the Leaf Blade like being like physical or special, is that this generation also had an interesting kind of split on so they had some splits on here. So before there was like a special stat, just general special stat, then they split it in this one to special attack and special defense, and now the moves that you use are relegated as well, like at least in types of what damage they give, whether it's physical or special attack. It's not
relegated, or which attribute they use.
Yeah, or what attribute they use is all relegated to the type it is, not to like move by move like we saw in later generations, but in this one it's based off of the type. So for example,
all grass was all special, right?
Or all ghost was all physical.
Yep.
I did not know that ghost was physical. That is terrible.
Was it fire, ice, and electricity are all special?
So Ghost can't hit normal, but Ghost is supposed to be physical.
Apparently.
This is the generation where you had Alakazam with like the physical punches, so it's got fire, ice punch, thunder punch, and psychic, and it all is special.
That's awful.
Yeah. Like, I had with my Gardevoir, I had a Shadow Ball, but then I realized, like, oh, snap, this is a physical move. This move is worthless. And so I got rid of it for something else.
That makes sense. I always put Shadow Ball in, like, Absol and stuff like that, and I was like, why does this do nothing?
Yeah, because physical move, because, I don't know, maybe somebody at Game Freak was just smoking crack that day, and, like...
And then you get crazy movesets like Gyarados has Strength, Earthquake, Dragon Dance, and something else.
Yeah, that's absurd.
No water moves.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was probably one of the worst decisions I had in this game.
But it still did.
But,
it was not, it was something that led towards the future.
It led towards them realizing that they messed up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to relegating it to the move rather than the type.
It was still a good next step as to adding.
I think Bug is physical too, and I think there's barely any Bug moves.
And it gave more strategy to the game. Anything that gives more strategy to the game, I think, is a monumental leap forward.
I think we said it in one of the videos before, but like I would love if they did a Battle Frontier facility where this was like the mechanic, where like the moves determine whether or not they're physical or special again.
Right.
So like a retro mechanic.
Like a retro
one of the battles
mechanic.
is retro.
Yeah, you just go back into the facility and they just tell you that the moves have switched, whatever. So now everything is topsy turvy.
Yeah, it's like the Battle Game Boy or something like that, and
this Battle Tower will have no abilities. This one will have.
Yeah,
and they use the music from the old generations. Like they put the Gen 3 music on there when you play or Gen 1.
Music.
I would laugh like the facilities with a giant Game Boy.
Exactly, but nope, they probably won't do that because
innovation is not a thing they do.
Yeah, and also Battle Frontier doesn't exist. We all know that.
Yeah, we forgot about it.
Also, they added a handful of new Pokeballs. They added the Premier, the Repeat, Timer, Net, Dive, Nest, and Luxury.
Which is hot because you got to remember we just came off of Gen 2, which had 5 balls?
Something.
The Lure, the Level, the Moon, the Love, the Friend, and the Speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like
the Speed Ball
is the fastball. Fastball.
Yeah.
If you go from the two, which one do you feel like is used more these days? Because I feel like
between 2 and this one.
Yeah.
Well, 2 gets shafted in every game.
Yeah.
So.
Apricorn balls are very hard to come by. So.
Because this one, like, if you look at what's the one, does this one didn't have the Dusk? Dusk was next.
No,
one?
Dusk is Gen 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only useful one.
The ones that it's Nest, Timer, and then I love Premier. Those are pretty much the three that I would use.
Luxury and Premier ended up being are the ones that I ended up using, but I really like the design of the Dive Ball the most.
Can we take a pause real quick?
Yeah.
When's he gonna come back?
Never. You're gonna love my nuts.
Rum ham! I'm sorry.
What's your spaghetti policy? How much cheese is too much cheese?
I haven't even begun to peek.
Once I do, everyone in Philadelphia is gonna feel it. What are you, hungry?
Cinnabon has bagels. Are you fishing for a coupon?
Yeah. It's like, we'll play dreidel, dreidel, dreidel.
I'll put it on a loop.
I love the way he says it. Like, he just, like, inflections on loop. He's like, I'll put it on a loop! This is gonna go on the whole time, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I think the only one that has, like, any versatility is the Timer Ball.
Yeah.
And the Net Ball. At least going forward, because the Dive Ball becomes useless after this generation.
Yeah. I didn't really bother with most of them, honestly, except for maybe, like, the Net Ball. But even then...
Because I think they bring... Their Dive comes back in, Gen 5, but there's no actual encounters.
Right.
Than you. The pot was boiled over. Action.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so so the new Pokeballs, but after that, they have a replacement for the Pokegear, which is the Pokenav, which also has another mechanic in there, the Trainer's Eye. So
it was Bono, a failure of Pokegear.
Yeah, you're pretty well versed in the Trainer's Eye, aren't you?
Me?
I mean,
No,
other
Bono.
than the fact that it highlighted that there were trainers to battle again.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I actually found a use for it when I was like trying to grind XP, and if you go past the third gym to the left and you use it there, and you get like the 6 of the daycare and the 6 of the other daycare. Like I remember sitting there using the bike back and forth to try to hatch Pokemon, and then you do it, and then you could keep on battling. So like it had a use, but like if you're talking about any of the Pokénavs, I am indifferent about them all.
Yeah, I didn't really use.
I've never
like
used
hell.
a Pokénav.
Well, aside from the trainer eye,
Yeah.
there's a map in every Pokemon Center, so you don't even need to use the Pokénav.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was pretty redundant, honestly. I didn't like bother with the Pokénav, but it wasn't like a bad addition. It just was like, it was just a thing that you didn't think about really.
Honestly, if it was going to replace the Pokegear, it should have just been the Pokegear.
Exactly.
I mean, they're all just. It's all just a skinned of a settings window. Like, is that something to?
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes they have some use to it, but this one is just kind of like whatever. So as you go up past, what was it, Slateport? So you go north of Slateport City. That there is a house, just a random house over there with like a pink roof, metal walls. You open
I wonder what the rent.
By itself, underneath a bike bridge.
As I say, I wonder what the rent is living under a bike bridge.
Probably not that much. That's probably why he's able to budget all of his tricks, let's say. So yeah, you enter it, and then it just says you are being watched. And there's a little twinkle in the room. And you see this fucking creeper-ass guy, like, with a receding hairline, be like, hey, kid, you want to play some games?
Now that I'm thinking of it, you walk in, he says you're being watched. And then when you figure it out, you go to all these people who are trapped in his basement.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he just has a bunch of trainers trapped in his basement for whatever nefarious purposes.
I mean, on the upside, this is a feature that I don't know why they've never brought back, because it was super fun to me.
It was a good way to show off the HMs.
So how it works, basically, I think it was based on how many gym badges you have. You could go in this room, and it would be a new set of challenges. So there'd be some that you would, if you had to have Rock Smash to go in, get the puzzle, and then you get a reward. You have to have Cut to do. And it was just another reward for getting the gyms, and it was another fun thing. Like if you needed to train, you're like, oh, I'll go back here. Oh, I got a free rare candy. It was just a fun little mini game inside this game that we've never had again. It was something unique that I appreciated.
I know the thing that you have to get in order to open the door at the end is a scroll now, but back in the day I thought it was a typewriter.
Oh,
because it's like a little gray object that exists nowhere else in the game except for there.
Yeah, because I remember it was a scroll, like, the whole time. It was just like, it just looked like I mean, I could get typewriter, but, like, I think they might have mentioned at one point that it was a scroll, or maybe I thought that it was a scroll. But...
And then I remember at the first couple challenges, you get the twinkle. And then the next time you're being watched, there's no twinkle, and you're like, you sicko.
Yeah.
I don't think there was one for Surf. I think there was one for Cut, Rock Smash, Flash, Strength.
And then there was the one with, like, the walking, like, the bars they had to walk through.
The one, like, the 6th gym.
But the guy's just, like, creeping around like freaking spaghetti. He's just like...
Yeah, I remember you walk around, you're like, you under the table? No, you're not under the table. Like, you in the closet?
He's
no,
like...
you're not. You behind this painting?
I think
there you are, you little...
Spaghetti! It was like, at first I thought it was the boss's kid. Turns out it wasn't a kid, it was a full-grown man. Kind of surprised to guess.
It was just something that was simple, fun, and it got me to keep on coming back. I would go to the gym and be like, okay, what does this guy have now for me?
Yeah.
What does this guy have now?
What new victims does he have lying in his basement that I could defeat and make him feel worse than they are?
I would like to know, are they all the same trainers?
I'd like to know how they're doing, if they're still alive.
If they can't make it through his challenge, he just keeps them in his basement.
He puts the lotion on the skin.
Yeah.
Until it uses Flash again.
Yeah.
So the reason that you had to go on this guy and go to his house and train is because right after here is the hardest battle of all of Pokemon ever. No matter how much levels you are higher than this battler, you will lose at least once. I know I played recently and I played through it and I was like, I'm like level 25. Like with everybody. I'm just gonna destroy her, and went through and died. And I know
only 3 Pokemon.
I know Alex had a challenge recently too.
I did.
He went through. He's like, I'm ready. Went through. Died.
Nope.
I don't know what about it. It's
Yeah.
the certain combination that is just an impossible battle.
What
Cynthia's easier.
I put that,
everybody's easier.
I put it with the same difficulty as the Cynthia battle in Undella Town in Black and White.
It's whatever starter, and then I think the other Pokemon are Shroomish, Wailmer, and Slugma. Depending on whatever starter you pick. Because it's the rival battle.
It's like full typing. So unless you have full coverage, you either got to hope your one starter is strong enough to sweep, or you're going to lose. And you always think that you're like, okay, I can do this. I got through the first 3, and then there's the one that you don't have type against. And then you lose, and then you slowly watch your entire party die, and then you're like, shit, okay, I'll go back. I'll go to the Pokemon Center. Do I just try to get my starter higher? Do I try to brute force it, or do I gotta put this level 13 Talo and try to boost him up? What should I do? And then you go back and you die. And then you go back and you die. And then you just rage until all your Pokemon are level 30, and then you just wipe her off the face of the earth, and then you never have a challenge for the entire game.
Here's a thought that I have. She's trying to beat you to the point that you feel so worthless, you end up going to the trick house over and over again, and you end up being a slave to the trick house with the trick master. That the trick master and your rival are working cahoots to keep you trapped.
It's basically you're trapped in that little window right there, because all you have to the left of you is the place to surf. You don't have a surf yet.
Yeah.
You're literally just trapped.
Yeah.
Or you go back to Granite Cave.
Or you go back to the old man who's keeping you on a boat, and you got the implication, so you're just trapped in this spot.
Yeah, it's a pretty disgusting thought to have.
Pretty smug too, because even if you win, they ride away on a bike that you don't have yet.
Yeah, exactly. Like every time that you beat the rival, they have the next step ahead of you. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat you in Fortress City, and they're like, okay, fly off. Like, come on.
So, did you have a challenge with this trainer, Mono, or is it just Alex and myself?
I remember losing like once, but I don't remember losing like multiple times.
It's not once. It's the fact that I've played this game probably 8 to 10 times, and it's every time. It's the first time every time. It's probably the only battle I lose in the entire game, and it's right there every single time.
Yeah, it's so true. I struggle with that one all the time, and I put it like, I think some of the top 3 battles that are like main game would be like Cynthia and Undella Town, this, and the Whitney battle. Actually, honestly, I think Whitney was a little bit overrated compared to the other two. Like Miltank and Rollout, I never really had much of a struggle with, honestly. But
it was always because there's 2 ways of playing the game. It's all of my people are at the level of the gym, or it's one person is so overpowered.
Yeah.
And Miltank was one of those that could be either strategy. Because if you couldn't beat her early, if they died to the first 3 rollouts, well, now your other 2 Pokemon are dead too.
Yeah.
Or if they're all the same and they die to the first 2 rollouts, then your next 4 are dead. So it was a good way of playing against the different typings.
Also, one of the coolest mechanics that they haven't brought back since this, or they haven't really done anything with it, is the secret bases. So they introduced
gutted
it
from
here.
BDSP.
Yeah, exactly.
Did they?
Yeah, you can't put like any decorations besides the statues.
So did you guys use secret bases? Because
I did
not
a little bit. I didn't go full out like other people did, but I did use the secret base quite a bit back then.
Because I would always I would see the little square and I'd be like, oh, let me go in here. Yeah, this is a cool spot. And then I would leave and I would never come back to it. Like I never actually put anything in the secret
but the
base.
floor placements a lot of times were pretty shoddy. There's a lot of like empty spots, or like there's something that was completely like a pit where you had to get like a board to cover it.
Yeah, I never figured that out, so I'd always pick the spot that didn't have a pit.
Yeah.
I liked the trees. Those are like the tree ones.
Yeah. You like to live inside of an ent?
Yeah. I always used to try to get at least the starter from the casino, the little doll.
Yeah,
so what did you put inside your secret base?
A bunch of tables and chairs, and then the dolls that I could get my hands on.
The dolls, and then there's special mats that you could do that'll play a different like music sound. So like you can make your own like songs essentially. And it was pretty cool. It kind of like expanded upon your bedroom in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, where it's like you could add some dolls in there, but like this one is like your own spot somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. So when you run away from home because your dad did as well, then you could be like, okay, cool, I got a place to stay.
I think it would have been cooler if you could make a point where you could fly to.
That's what I was going to say. If you could fly to your secret base, there would be a lot more versatility to that. But,
100%.
Yeah.
Also,
or if you had you could have like a PC there, and or like something
that would make so much sense.
So you don't have to deal with the monopoly of the Pokemon Center.
I always used to go and put my secret base in the most obscure places, and the most obscure places I could think of were places that I had to use the acro bike to do the acro hop across
the bunny hop.
Yeah, which is one thing we can talk about real quick is that they had two different bikes in this game, the acro and the mock bike.
Yep. So acro was more for like, it wasn't as fast, but you could do like tricks with it. You could bunny hop, you could wheelie, and there's certain area. And then the mock bike was all about speed. You can't do any tricks with it, but it's a lot faster.
They made you use both of them.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get everything, you had to at some point get both of them.
And it's and it was something that they implemented as well with the Safari Zone. Yeah, the Safari Zone required the different bikes so you could get certain areas and find certain Pokemon there. So
I don't know if it was just Emerald, but I remember there were the 2 towers you had to use the mock bike with the ground that would give away.
Yeah.
Sky Pillar.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was it was a cool thing. I know natively I used the little bunny hop bike.
I liked acro bike, but I think I ended up using mock bike the most just for speed, and I think after I went through the Sky Pillar, I just kind of kept it. But I did like the acro bike. It's just the mock was just my comfort zone.
There is also a time challenge on the cycling road using the mock bike.
Right.
What do you get for getting like?
I've never been able to do it, but I doubt you get anything good.
I thought it was
like
time.
Berries.
And also,
let me look it up.
Like how many things you hit? She's like, you hit 3 targets. But I'm not sure what the challenge was, because I would always be like, I'm feeling for it, go for it, hit something, and be like, okay, I wasn't even trying. Like, what?
What'd you guys think about the Windstrait family?
I thought nothing of them. I just thought it was kind of cool that they had like consecutive battles like that. But other than that, I didn't really care anything about it.
I always like the thing where you're locked in a set of battles, and you're like. But by the second one, you're like, are they done yet?
But also, why is the last name Windstrait when they say that they're related to Steven?
Well, they're not related to Steven. They're related to No, they said that their son was challenging the Elite Four, and he's actually in Victory Road.
Oh, gotcha. I thought for some reason...
Because his name is Victor, I think.
See, but you're talking about them, but if you just go a little bit further, you have the best duo in the game. And that is the camera crew, the reporters.
Yeah.
Who literally, you're on this journey, and they're on it with you.
Is it
you fight them? You fight them.
Gabe and Tabby or something like that?
Yeah.
You fight them 3 different times along your journey.
Gabby, right?
Ty and Gabby, that's it.
Yeah. So because they're like, we love you.
What is it? Whismer and Magnemite?
Yep. And then you get them up to a.
Exploud and Magneton. Yeah, and also it was really nice to have like when you're trying to grind, because they gave you so much experience in those battles. You just bounce between like from above Mauville and also to the right of Mauville, like north and east.
Then you just fly to the 6th gym and do it, and then you keep on doing those 3.
Exactly.
And then you give an interview and you try to think of the funniest combination you can, and you're like, Pokemon rocks.
Yeah. You silly butts.
It's always so stupid. Fucking stuff you pick.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I liked them a lot more than the little family of trainers.
Exactly. Yeah. But how would you feel about the Windstrait family?
I like their little dynamic where it's like the dad is like the worst, and then the daughter comes out. She's like, I'm gonna avenge my dad, and then she's like, Grandma, I lost. And then Grandma comes out. You toss Grandma aside, and then the mom comes out.
I thought the grandma was last.
I thought the grandma was last.
I don't think she was last. I think it's the mom.
I think she had like a Medichan and she was last.
Was she? I don't know. Either way, I remember their little dynamic was like every one of them losing and complaining to the other family member that they lost.
Yeah.
Then they gave you the Macho Brace, which I was like, I don't have no idea how to use this item.
So I don't see this on our list, but if you keep on going north, it was the first time they ever had a desert, I think. It was the first instance of a desert.
Yeah, it's the first desert that they had.
Yeah.
And they locked it behind a gym.
Yeah.
So you did have to explore before you could go in the desert.
You gotta go do a loop.
Yeah, you big old loop.
Put it on a loop.
I was thinking the same thing.
And they added the most useless feature, I think, which is Ash.
Yeah, I mean, as a person who watches the anime, I'd have to agree.
Oh yeah, it's just a lot of shiny hunters now use it because like I think it's the white flute increases your encounters in Gen 3, which is actually like broken.
From the 3rd to the 4th gym, or was it the 4th to the 5th? I think it was 3rd to 4th.
Yeah, 3rd to 4th.
You had to go all the way to the top. You had to battle your magma or aqua, and then come all the way back.
Yeah, it's like going through Mount Chimney, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mount Chimney.
And then that's also when you got the secret base. There was the guy on that route who gave it to you. And
after you go through the fiery path.
Yeah, you have to get secret power, which is TM43 in this game, yeah.
And trapped in this ash because all the haze and all the weed, you got the spindly Pokemon who can't stand straight.
Skarmory, 5%.
What's that Pokemon that just gets dizzy from all the weed? I mean Ash. That's in this
Ash.
Also, yeah, which, by the way, so the very first shiny Pokemon I ever found, was in Ruby at this area. It was a shiny Spinda, which is an ugly olive green. And I accidentally critical hit it and killed it. My very first shiny. And I knew it was a shiny too, because I was going on Cerebi at that time as well. I've been going on Cerebi since like 2003. Shout out to my friend Kellen. But yeah, it's like I knew what it was, and I was like, I accidentally killed it, and I still hate myself to this day for it.
My first shiny I ever saw was in Crystal, and it was a Sentret before you get Pokeballs.
Oh.
And I just like held it, and I was like. And I like left it. I was like, "Is there anything I could possibly do?" And then just sadness.
I caught a shiny Tailo in Sapphire, but I thought my game was bugged and saved over it. So at some point before I die, I need to go back and catch a Tailo in Sapphire.
Yeah, just for closure.
Future Bono is just literally waking up screaming.
At least all the Talos are the same with Spindas. Oh, by the way, the Spinda mechanic actually is kind of cool. Is that all the spot designs on Spinda are different, pretty much every single one. There's like it's a randomly generated spots. And it's like 4 billion combinations, I believe, for like all the different Spindas. So it's pretty much impossible to find the same exact Spinda over and over again. Which is
also in that area they have the how do you feel about the trainers that hide?
Do
they annoy you? Do they catch you off guard? Because
I usually seek them out now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'm just gonna battle them anyways. I mean, I'm like, oh, they got me, but also like,
when I was
on
a kid, they were annoying.
Screen. Yeah, on a little tiny screen, you can't really see.
I'm like, I'm just trying to get through all the ash and
yeah,
stupid little kid with a Ninjask. Like it's not even worth my XP.
Yeah. Yeah, they just keep on speed boosting, and they use Fury Cutter constantly. But,
they also have that guy that gives you roar after Fall Arbor Town.
Right.
Yeah. And then you go in the cave and you fight the.
I don't think you fight. You just sit there and talk to them.
Talk to them.
Yeah.
And that cave is important, just not when you need it, because that is the cave that you go back and get Bagon.
Right. Yeah.
You have to go back when you have Waterfall, and as a kid, you're like, how would I know that?
How would you know that? And how?
You see like Salamence, you're like, how do I get that? And you're like, oh, you go here. You're like,
Meteor Falls, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Meteor Falls.
Right. Yeah, because and especially it's in one little area. After you get Waterfall, after you do your 8 gyms, and then you're able to access the Meteor.
Yes, this like
level 30.
4 by 8 little spot that is
exactly. Yeah, so just for little baby dragon.
So you do all that. You beat the hottest gym leader, and then you get to go in the desert where you get my favorite Pokemon of that game,
Trapinch,
which is Trapinch.
Cacturn.
Who evolves into Flygon.
Exactly.
And I just thought the desert was such a cool concept because it was something that they've never looked at, never talked about, and it was cool. I've always been a sucker for ground type Pokemon, and it was just like, oh, Sandshrew. Oh, Baltoy.
Yeah.
Oh, all these cool things.
Although I did not like that. I mean, obviously because we're in the desert, that everything was just sand mechanics in there, so everybody get hurt if you didn't have like a ground type or whatever. Like I thought that was kind of frustrating, but
yeah, but it made sense.
It made sense. It made sense. I just thought it was annoying.
And then in Ruby and Sapphire, did you even have to do anything, or you just went to the bottom and you got the fossil?
You just went to the top right and got the fossil.
Yeah, okay. In Ruby and Sapphire you did that, but in Emerald they had another thing, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
And there's only one right fossil, correct?
Yeah.
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 What fossil's the right fossil, Mono?
Anorith.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I tried one playthrough with
Lily.
so dumb. So dumb.
I don't hate it, but also
Yeah, but
it's like
Anorith
Anorith
is
is so
so
much.
good.
Yeah, it's so much
He's
better.
so good. He's
Well-
the first bug that I actually used and just
Not even Scyther?
I was never
Not even Pinsir? Not even
You have to
Scizor?
get either of those from the
Heracross?
Safari Zone
Come on,
or get
bro.
them from the game corner.
and when I did Crystal, I was like, I'm not doing this bug catching contest that much.
Did you recover
It's
at
just-
least?
This is stupid. No, I know I did it and it was like
Are you in rehab for doing Crystal?
I got like a level 12 Butterfree and I'm like, dope, this is cool. And then I lost to like a level 15 Caterpie and I'm like, are you fucking serious?
Damn.
I'm never doing this contest ever again in my
Yeah,
life.
bug catching contest. Bug catching
Yeah.
contest is like dream shiny for me. I don't care what it is. I just want to catch one shiny Pokemon in the bug catching contest.
But yeah, so I never really used a bug before. So like when he was out there, I was like, this dude is so cool.
You know, I never used a fossil Pokemon up until Gen 6. Like on my
No?
team, I
Really?
never used one. The
I
first
used
one I used,
Aerodactyl and Red.
But
Yeah.
actually, now that you say that, that's what got me to start using fossils. Because I loved Bastiodon.
yeah, because I loved Amora and Auroras, and also there weren't really that many Gen 6 Pokemon that I just loved, and
You
yeah,
didn't love Binacle or Barbarical?
it was. I mean, you'll hear my thoughts about it in the Gen 6 tier list video,
But I liked
which
I liked
should
the
be out at
fossils.
this point.
I liked the fossils, but I didn't like how easy it was to get the fossils.
Hmm.
Although in all the games previously, you kind of just wandered into them in a cave after
yeah, you're kind of forced
doing what
upon
you're
them.
supposed to be doing.
Yeah, you're forced upon them.
So I guess
But
it's
also-
still more. I guess it's still more of a mystery, just not as
But
good as Emerald.
also, Gen 2 didn't even have fossil Pokemon at all, so it's kind of cool that they brought it back.
that is true.
Yeah.
I wonder what a Gen 2 fossil would look like.
No idea. No idea.
Okay.
We'll never know.
A Raptor?
Something
Yeah.
cool like Shuckle.
Yeah, it'd be the coolest Pokemon that we never got. Next thing, another interesting Pokemon, because we were just talking about Spinda, is Feebas. So Feebas is basically this generation's version of Magikarp. It's just like a dumpy looking fish Pokemon.
I think it only knows Tackle, Flail, and
Splash.
I don't think it learns any moves other
Yeah.
than Tackle and Flail.
In
Exactly.
every iteration of playing, I have never once gotten a Feebas.
I had to get a Feebas pretty recently for my project, but basically the way of getting it was very interesting. So, in the area between the Weather Institute and Fortree City, there is like a river that passes through it, and you have to fish. You could use any fishing rod, and all the
Oh, so
same
old rod.
odds. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, all the Orod's the best one.
Yeah, Old Rod is probably the best one because it's highest odds. But any of them could get Feebas, but is only 6 tiles in all of the river, like 6 little like areas that you could walk on or swim on, that has a Feebas on there. And they change randomly with every time they go on the route. So you have to basically fish on them a few times and then go one by one until you find one of those 6. And even then, you could possibly even pass it up because it might not show right away because it's not 100% guaranteed.
All right. You could
So-
also get screwed and all of them be on top of the waterfall.
Exactly. Yeah. So if it's on top of the waterfall, you can't do it until you beat the game,
Right.
or it's like something you just can't access. So
But also, it involved with beauty, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the way that it evolved as well was interesting. So with this game is that they introduced. This is where they introduced the beauty
Contest.
and smart. Yeah, the contest and the attributes for it. And so they had the smart, cool, cute, beauty, and tough. And so for Feebas to evolve, this was pretty unique because there was no other Pokemon that had this. That you had to max out the beauty stat, and then you level it up, and that's how it evolves into Milotic, which is one of the best Pokemon in Gen 3 in my opinion. And yeah, it was very, very cumbersome to get it. I never got one when I was a kid. I got Feebas by other means later on, but at least while I was originally playing it, I never had Feebas because I just didn't have the patience to do that method.
I've never had one, but then like shouting out back to what we called earlier abilities, where she would like burn herself just so that she could deal more damage. Just Milotic. Isn't that Milotic's ability? If she has a status, she has increased like attack or something like that.
No, her ability's Marvel Scale.
which is...
I don't remember.
Which is when Milotic is infected with a status condition, its defense increases by 50%. So, Greg, you were half right. Because you were saying attack.
Wait, is Marvel Scale the one that Dragonite has now?
It has interfocus or multi-scale.
Multi-scale. Okay, they start with the M's. That's where I got confused.
Yeah. Okay,
but I know we were talking about that, but we also skipped that we have a father.
Yeah.
We don't have a dad, right? He's not real.
Daddy.
He's a figment of your imagination. No father would let you ride in the back of a truck. All right? No father would let you ride in the back of a movie truck.
I don't know why they even included it.
The movie truck or the dad?
The dad.
I think it's because they ignored it the past 2 generations, but also he's barely ever there, so it's like, why? Like, he's just a deadbeat either way. It's just that now you see him this time.
You literally pass him. He's like, nah, you're not good enough for me. Go get better, scrub. Yeah. And then you come by and you kick his ass, and he's like, I'll be here.
Yeah.
All right.
And he does show up. He does show up post game at the house.
He does for a split second before he leaves again.
Like the logic of that is your starting town should have been where his gym is.
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense. Or instead, he has to walk all the way back.
Yeah, he has to commute from.
He's got to run away from Zigzagoons.
Yeah, exactly.
Every night.
Mm-hmm.
He also lets some random kid borrow his Pokemon. Doesn't give you shit.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But yeah, I just don't know why they even chose to include it. It was such like a non-factor that it didn't give.
Change it up to be like, hey, where's Dad?
It didn't give me any drive or anything.
Yeah. All right. When are we gonna have a game where we don't have a mom? That's the real question.
That's facts.
It's 2022, and I feel like
I feel like I don't need a mom.
Singles fathers should be there too.
Shout out to stay-at-home dads.
But yeah, in all the previous games, you didn't have a father, but I mean, Gary was always Ash's dad.
Although Ash's mom did mention his dad once or twice, a couple times.
It's Professor Oak.
This Professor Oak, Professor
Oak. No, that's his stepdad.
Everybody.
No, they had a scene in the latest episode where they're zooming in on him and he starts crying because he's so proud of Ash for.
Oh my god.
So those are tears of a father, all right? That ain't no tears of somebody, a mentor.
But I didn't want to skip that because to me it was like I don't know why you even put anything into this.
Mm-hmm. The next thing that they added, which is the trainer card, or at least where you could update your trainer card and see new colors on there depending on your achievements that you get. I know some people.
I think
really
you had one.
I think
you had it in Gen 1 and 2.
Yeah, but this one this one it's just like it changes color depending on what you've done.
Yeah, I was about to say, does it do anything other than just show how many badges you have and how much money you have in your game time?
There are
in Gen 3 it does.
Yeah, basically you can see statistics for how many link cable battles you've won. I think your battle tower statistics as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like there's other
just stacks.
Just some random stuff like that.
And then,
but it does change color depending on what you do. So if you complete the National Dex, what's the other one? Hall of Fame, Catch the Legendary, and stuff like that, it'll change color.
Did it do anything that has been a mainstay since, or was it just kind of like
changing color?
They're equivalent to the Pokénav, where it was just like it was a thing.
Yeah,
it was their iteration of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a few things that they showed on there. Is the Hall of Fame entry, link cable battles, Pokemon trades, Pokeblocks with friends, contests with friends, battle tower wins, and numbers straight. And then there is up to 4 stars you could get, which are green, bronze, copper, silver, and gold. Which the ways that you could get them is by beating the Pokemon League, winning all 5 Master Rank contests for Pokemon painted for each, defeat the 50 Trainer Challenge in the Battle Tower, and completing the Hoenn Pokedex.
I don't think I ever did a Link battle.
I don't think I ever did because I didn't really have friends that played Pokemon really.
Exactly.
So
I did. I battled my cousins all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time, but Ruby and Sapphire were kind of weird because it was like the in-between game between this. Oh, I mean, obviously it came before Diamond and Pearl, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I moved schools, I had all my friends that still played Ruby and Sapphire, and then I came here. I'm like, oh, I'll make friends with Pokemon because obviously everybody still plays Pokemon, right? And then I came to Rockland, nobody played Pokemon except for Daniel.
Exactly. Yeah, it was sad because it's I knew that it was relevant. I knew that kids liked it, but all the kids that I knew didn't care for it, and I got picked on for liking it.
There were always some weird, embarrassing thing behind Pokemon. You're an 8. You're 8 and everybody played it, but everyone like played it hushly.
Yeah.
Like you didn't want to be made fun of or be like a nerd for playing Pokemon, but everyone played Pokemon.
And now it's like since like Pokemon's had the surge of popularity, like Pokemon Go and all that stuff. Like, oh yeah, I always played it. Like everybody would tell me that. Like once I told them, I was like, yeah, I got bullied for playing Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like,
and Alex
always...
gets all heated up, and he's like, "You liar!
Yeah,
I know you didn't."
Yeah, it was like this bullshit. Like I was playing it. And everybody said, or nobody played it, and now they're saying that they did. It's like, I got bullied for nothing, is what you're telling me. Like, I went through all this shit for nothing. Like, fuck off.
But yeah, so the trainer card did have some information, but it was another feature that, like, I never used.
And then here we are in Gen 8, where it's an actual training card that you can customize yourself and get laminated and holographic.
And guess what?
I probably should.
Still don't care.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have base card. I've had the base card.
I think you get 10 stars on it now for like completing all the Pokedexes, becoming champion and stuff like that.
I remember I decked mine out a little bit too. I've updated a few times. I mean, it is cheap to update it, but also you get money. Like it's no big deal in that game. So.
Right, especially with the DLC.
Exactly.
So then we have
go buy the DLC. Buy product. Consume product. Pre-order Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Okay, quick tangent. Who thinks that there's going to be Scarlet and Violet DLC?
I don't see how there couldn't be.
Yeah, it'd be stupid that they would.
Well, nowadays they said they're not doing a release every year, so that means they have to have some sort of DLC every year.
Yeah, of course. That would just make sense, especially with how well that Scarlet and Violet did. Like, just base game. And then they have the DLC on top of that. Like, Sword and Shield, yeah. It's like, it's a no-brainer.
You have here that there's the EV and IV system change. So how did it change? What actually changed? And how big of a...
the DV system.
Okay, so it's a monumental change.
It is, because it used to be one system complete. It's also ties in with like the special attack and special defense switch, where when they split it, now EVs and IVs are like completely different. So now the way IVs work is that every Pokemon has a randomly generated set of IVs between 0 and 31, which represents the max potential of that Pokemon's stat, which could be anywhere from like 100 to 351, depending on of the IV. EVs are effort values are given from Pokemon that you defeat, whether wild or trainer, doesn't really matter. And there are a certain amount of points, depending on the stage. Sometimes with like lower points, they're 1 point, where if you battle like their final form, it could be up to 3 or 4 points. There are some Pokemon that actually have 2 stats that give 1 point each, that you can use all that stuff. So depending on where your individual value laid between 0 and 31, if it was max 31 and then you poured every EV that you could possibly do into the same stat, then you would be able to have the max amount of points in that stat.
So 2 questions for you.
Yes.
First question is, has it changed since?
No.
No aspect of it has really changed since?
Other than the fact that you can manipulate EVs and IVs in a way that you weren't able to in this game, yes.
Okay. And then the second question is, when it released, did people know that? Or did it take like years for people to understand EVs and IVs?
I don't even think it was in the game guide. I think people literally had to figure it out.
Yeah, I think people that had the ROMs that like extracted and looked at the mechanics and just kind of inferred.
It was a core feature that people later understood, but they once it came out, they had no idea.
Yeah, because I don't think there were that many mouth-breathing degenerates back then about Pokemon. Whereas like it was popular, at least with like finding like the secrets in the game. But like in terms of like code and like that kind of stuff, I'm sure it wasn't until later. But I don't know for a fact.
But yet again, it's another feature that this game introduced that is a mainstay in all of Pokemon, which is why this is the best Pokemon game.
Make arguments for it. That's fact. Yeah, definitely make very, very valid arguments.
Sorry, we'll make a Redux episode. We'll just edit all the Greg's parts out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll delete it in post. Yeah, but
you're just making
we'll silence the little man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Pokemon contests. The way they worked is that you throw out a Pokemon. You throw out a Pokemon, depending on how many, depending on like what stat you're playing in, it would get like a certain amount of applause, which contributed to your overall points.
Yeah.
You could manipulate that by feeding it Pokeblocks from certain berries that manipulated the stat. It also depended on what kind of food the Pokemon liked.
I feel like Alex should be talking about this. Alex knows all about the contests.
I mean, Bono's playing it pretty well. Yeah. So yeah,
Because you missed the decoration part, the rhythm game.
I will.
Well, that's
Gen
the first
4.
part is the appearance.
That's Gen 4. We already talked about that in the Babblers on Diamond and Pearl, which you can check right up here. But
I thought that was this one.
No,
Gen 3 only has the appearance, the moves, and what's the last one?
Well, no. Gen 3 only has the battling, basically. That's it. Yeah, and so...
Well, no, they have, like, the appearance. Not the costumes, but the appearance, because it's the stars.
Oh, that is just based off of, like, how many berries that you... Or,
yeah,
like,
where your stat is.
How full it is. Yeah, how full the Pokemon is from the Pokeblocks that you give it.
Because you get the applause, and then that depends where you fall in the beginning. Then there's the battle, and then there's the final score.
Yeah, and that's also, honestly, it's just, like, based on how many Pokeblocks you gave it. It's not even, like, if you have, like, the right stats on there. It's just, like, how full the circle is with all the stars on it. It's like, if you max it out, you're going to get max applause every time, which helps a lot. But in terms of trying to win the contest that you're trying to focus on, because each contest is based off of, there's a difficulty, there's, like, basically, there's 4 ranks of, like, the easy, medium, hard, expert, essentially. And then there's the 5 categories, which are the cool, cute, tough, beauty, and smart. And
this is another thing. This is another thing where I liked how they introduced a new concept. Wasn't for me.
Yeah.
To me, it's always been about battling and evolving.
Exactly.
So, like, this was something where it was like, it's a cool gimmick, but, like, I'm not really interested.
Yeah.
Maybe they gave up after Gen 4.
Basically, you'd have those categories, and so if you use, like, let's say if you're in the beauty contest and you use a beauty type move, then you would get, like, an applause from the head of the organization, whatever he is.
The judge.
Or the host. Yeah, the judge, the host, whatever you want to call them. And so that could help you get more hearts. Like, every move that he has more hearts and gives you different mechanics. Like, it could prevent you from losing hearts that turn, or it could cause other people to lose their Pokemon hearts and all that stuff. And all that...
Change up the order, get other Pokemon scared so they mess up their moves.
Exactly. There's a lot of stuff.
Or make yourself oblivious to all that.
It's almost as many mechanics as there are, like, battling mechanics. It's kind of interesting in that aspect. But,
like, there's, like, status effects like poison, paralyze, sleep, burn, freeze, ice. Freeze? Yeah, freeze.
Yeah, exactly. It was very complex for being such a small, like, mini game.
Right. Did you find yourself playing, Bono?
I did, yeah. I played a couple of them. I think I never won a Masters.
Because there was 3, or were there more than 3?
3 ribbons? There's normal...
No, 3 locations.
3 locations. You travel.
4,
there's 4 of them. You travel from location to location.
In Ruby and Sapphire, you travel. In Emerald, they're all in one place, which kind of sucks.
So you start in Verdant Turf. On Ruby and Sapphire, you start in Verdant Turf, and then you go from there to, I believe you go to Fall Arbor after that. And then
Arbor,
and then Slateport, and then you go to Lily Cove at the end. Lily Cove was where, like, the final contest is. But in Emerald, they streamline it to where everything is in Lily Cove.
It sounds like you're the Swedish chef when you say Verdandurf.
Verdandurf.
Yeah.
Verdandurf.
Hey, Bert.
Hey, Bert.
Yeah, so I had to do this for a video that I'm working on, which hopefully you guys will see at some point eventually. But yeah, it was kind of cool. I mean, it was very easy to get through compared to the other stuff that was on there. But every single difficulty in every single category had its own ribbon. So altogether, there was 20 ribbons that you had to get. That was kind of, I mean, if you're doing a ribbon challenge, it's annoying. But, like, on its own, like, it's not bad. Like, especially if you have a Pokemon that focuses on a certain type, it's not hard at all.
But it did introduce ribbons as a thing.
Exactly. Ribbons were introduced in this generation, which are kind of like achievements, I guess, where, like, certain things that you do, like beating the Elite Four or winning the contest or, like, maxing the EVs on there, you would get a ribbon for that, like, just saying,
or
like,
if you got a foot fetish in Gen 4, you get the feet ribbon.
Exactly.
And the ribbons have been a mainstay since.
Except for Gen 5.
Except for Gen 5.
Gen 5 did not have ribbons. Also, Heart Gold and Soul Silver only had 1 ribbon. But,
which is the League ribbon.
Exactly. And that's only from beating Red. That's the only ribbon that's there. But,
it's the only important ribbon.
Yeah, so it was cool. I did like the ribbons. I do appreciate the ribbons. Also, another thing about the contest, too, is that there's another item that you could get to help you with your odds on there, which if you have that, then it's basically broken. Just use Rest and Snore, and you could always win. So, but yeah, that's a whole other tangent, I guess.
I think I said it in one of the episodes before. I really wish they would revisit contests. I feel like they could be better.
I agree.
I don't know how to make them better, but I feel like they could be.
I saw they did
the
super
only
contests.
reason I feel like anyone even tried the contest is because the anime made it so cool.
Right.
Right.
I
That
agree.
everyone else like, I wish this was this.
Yeah. Or if
I
they
wish
make
you'd
a
have
spin-off
these
game of that.
two fights that come together and they explode and make stars, and you're like, yeah.
Like a spin-off
I've
game of
been
that where they flesh it out would be really cool.
If I had to like put some thought into it, I would remove like the types from moves. So like flamethrower is no longer flamethrower; it's like a beauty category or whatever,
Yeah.
and then make the type advantages be like a star.
Yeah.
So beauty's good against smart, smart's good against tough, tough's good against cute, cute's good against beauty, or something like that.
But isn't that basically just battling then?
Well, yeah, I mean that's what it is in the anime, isn't it?
It just sounds like battling with extra steps.
Yeah.
It just sounds like, oh wow, somebody's gonna get laid in college.
No, the anime was like, I'm gonna put these two moves together and make them look beautiful, or I'm gonna dodge your move and you
I'm gonna
lose
dodge,
points
yeah.
because I dodged.
Use
Anime
tough move. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Anime
Ice
logic.
beam,
I'm
and
gonna
then use
dodge
lightning on
moves.
it to make a disco ball.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Right.
I win.
aim for the disco horn.
Yeah, like I said, that's off the top of my head, but I don't know how they do it. I really just wish they didn't give up on it and try.
Right.
It just feels like another addition to the game that would just like make for a journey. I think I said it before, like I want there to be like a battling path and like a contest path, kind of like how they're doing for Scarlet and Violet, how there's like 3 separate stories in the game.
Right.
I would like if they did contests and then maybe do more than 5 category or like 5 categories, make it so that you get more ribbons, so it's kind of like pace better.
Yeah. So moving on from there, so there's a certain thing that I thought was kind of interesting. I never used it myself because again, no friends. But so before in previous games, they had link cable functionality where you could connect to another person, you could trade, battle. But in this one, there's 4-person connectivity with link cables. Is that the GBA link cable had in the middle of it, they had this little like block that had a port for another link cable slot. So you could plug that in and connect more link cables to it, and you could play up to 4 players. You could do like double battles or do multi trades. Yeah, it was really cool in theory, but it was hard to find anybody with that many link cables and also finding friends. But that was at the point when Nintendo was really trying to like emphasize like 4 people multiplayer games like that, or like Legend of Zelda 4 Swords. And
because you need what 3 cables in order to do 4 players.
Yeah, you need a lot of cables, a lot of accessories.
So that's like $40 in cables.
It reminded me of like when they had the PS2 and they had like a little adapter,
The
so you could have 4
multi-tap.
people, but like no one had one.
I have.
And you're like, yeah, we got 4 people, but you're like,
yeah. And there's only so many games I've worked with it. Like Crash Team Racing was the only one I could think of.
Digimon Rumble Arena.
Right. Yeah, but also I just played that on the Xbox or the GameCube. Like I never really played on PS2. Actually,
Greg's like, must be nice being rich, playing it on 2 different platforms.
well, actually, no, I lie. I didn't have it on GameCube. I did have it on PS2, but I played it alone because I didn't have any friends.
Oh, wow.
Hey, see, I could get the sympathy points over here.
Drop it in
Yeah,
there.
it's not just. It's
Well, on
not
that note, we got a berry system.
Going on from there.
Yeah.
So no longer. Well, I mean, I guess it's like a day thing because before, what was it? The apricorns and like the poison cure berry.
Yeah.
Were just like 24-hour timers on the trees.
Yeah, and now this is like there's a clock in the game that you set it like you would in Gen 2, but with this one, it doesn't show you the day and night cycle. Like it doesn't show like literally the time of day it is, but you can look at the clock and see like what actual time it is based off like real life time. And so growing berries will depend on how long real time has passed for it to like fully grow into a tree.
I think if you water it every hour, you can get up to like 7 berries in one tree.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just plant it and don't care about it, it gives you 2 berries.
I think
So
I
it's a
tried
1 for 1.
I think I tried to care about it like early, but then I would just forget. So like I would be like, okay, I have citrus berries. I'm gonna plant those everywhere, and then I would just forget about them.
Yeah, not to mention you had to go back to wherever you planted the berries. So until like the late game where you have fly, it's really not optimistic.
I feel like they were vital. I feel like berries are always vital early game for like paralyze and poison and asleep. Like
berries.
I always found myself using berries in the early game to cure some status condition or top locking Pokemon.
Yeah.
Well, I mean they're free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would help as well if we're going back to the topic of contests. that there are certain berries that would yield certain reactions for Pokemon, whether it's like how full, like it's also like how full they get, and then also like what attributes it goes towards. And there are some berries that are really, really hard to come by that you have to get by like mystery gift events, or you'd have to transfer it from like one of the GameCube games, or by some other means.
The Starfberry, was it the Starf, the Lychee, the Enigma? There's one more I'm forgetting. But those are like from Coliseum.
Exactly.
They're really like hard to get berries.
The Ganlon berry.
Ganlon, yeah, that's it.
Hey!
That stays in. That's in the final cut.
That stays in.
Oh, well, since we talk about berries, let's talk about the one crutch in the system here. This is another reason Hoenn was built on like an Indian graveyard. Hoenn, these games actually released broken, and I think to this day are still broken. Unless, well, there are ways to fix them now, but on release they were definitely broken. So what happens is that this game launched with an internal battery, a CMOS battery, and the way it worked, the way it worked is that once you set the time, it would count time like normal. However, it wouldn't like stop taking charge from the battery. It would continue to count time. Even if the game wasn't on, it would still continue to count time, which kept draining into the battery more and more and more. So I think you got at least one good year out of the battery. It would last an entire year, but once it got there, it wouldn't continue to count time anymore. So berries that you planted would be stuck in the state that they were when you planted them. You could no longer grow and harvest berries.
So it wasn't a good glitch.
No, it wasn't. And then also once time stopped, you couldn't evolve any Pokemon that evolved with daytime. Or nighttime. So Eevee.
Yeah, you couldn't. Yeah, basically, at least as you could kind of see on the screen, is that you can't evolve. Or you can only evolve Eevee into one of the evolutions. Berries will no longer grow. The tide will no longer change in the Shoal Cave. That the markets will not have any sales for Lily Cove and Slateport, and Mirage Island will no longer appear.
I think I only would go into the Shoal Cave once a game, so I didn't even really know that the tide changed.
Yeah, high and low tide. You can access different parts of the Shoal Cave too. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
It's in the basement with Snorunt. I think that's the only place you can catch Snorunt.
Yep, correct.
It's in the basement.
Yep, exactly. And I still never got how Snorunt evolved in Glalie and make it look natural. It's very much like a how the hell did that happen kind of thing.
Right.
But so there were fixes to the berry glitch that were provided with other games, basically. That,
or you could send it in. You can't do it now, but you could have sent it in back in the day.
Exactly.
So you send the game in, they swap the CMOS, and then give it back to you?
I think they'd update the firmware and then do this for the CMOS.
Yeah, because I think it's like a 1.1 update, basically, is what they called it, or 1.2. So yeah, you could connect to like one of the other updated games, like Fire Red, Leaf Green, or Emerald, and then it would transfer the patch over to you, or you connect to the GameCube games. If you went to one of the mystery gift events, like the demo areas, and they'd get it from you from there, or like Bono said, sending it to Nintendo themselves because their customer service is top notch. Like they're literally one of the best customer services I've ever had.
I think with Fire Red, Leaf Green, Emerald, and the GameCube games, it's only per save. So if you do the fix and then you start a new game, that game will not be fixed. Yeah. You have to do you have to get it repatched by trading with the game again.
Didn't they offer like a shiny Zigzagoon with like a rare berry as like an apology?
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure that they did.
I never went to any of the Game Boy Advance events. It was only with Diamond and Pearl that I started doing that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just got the error message at the start every time, and then just never.
Oh, your battery's dead. Time-based events will no longer occur. You know, it's kind of funny that they do that because then that means they thought of that. Like, hey, what if the battery runs out?
Yeah, it was via an interactive demo patch for the berry glitch. Yeah, shiny Zigzagoon holding a Lychee berry in the GameCube interactive demo. So, however, since the demo disc program does not block fixed games, players can receive multiple Zigzagoon by downloading the same cartridge again. But yeah, the Lychee berry is like a really, really rare berry. So, and that was pretty much like one of the only ways they could get it. Other by going to Mirage Island.
There's also the glitch from the lady, was it east of Mauville? Have you ever seen her walk through the ledge?
I might have. I can't remember exactly, but I feel like I did.
You can add the footage in later, but like if you like look at this lady, and she's at a certain point at the thing, she'll walk up the jump down cliff to you, so you're not safe. She'll literally walk towards you.
So so the next one you were asking me, are the Eid Readers safe? Are they
yes. Yes.
So,
Are they safe? Are they there?
indulge
You had to,
us. Indulge
you had to
us.
be really, really rich or like good with your parents within Generation 3, because there were a lot of like add-ons for your games that you could get with like link cables and all that stuff. The e-reader is another addition to the Game Boy Advance that slots into the Game Boy cartridge area. And then what you could do is you had to buy packs of e-reader cards, which were like any trading card pack that would come with a code card that would there were some that would give you trainers in like the battle tower. Probably the most rare and sought after one is the one with the Eon ticket that'll allow you to catch the other Latios or Latios on the in the game. The other one is like probably one of the legendary events. I think there was one for Faraway Island was Toys R Us.
You're saying rich. How much did they cost?
I think it was like $30.
The
For
e-reader.
a pack or for the e-reader?
The e-reader.
For the e-reader. So you buy let's talk about like if you're buying the Game Boy for the first time, you got to buy the Game Boy. It's what, $100?
Probably.
Probably
I think
more.
Yeah, a little bit more probably.
110.
Like 129.
Yeah.
129. Then you buy the Pokemon game. That's another $35. 40. Then you buy the e-reader. Then you got to buy a link cable.
And you buy the cards.
Then you got to buy the cards. And then obviously the next game came out a year later, Fire Red, Leaf Green.
You gotta buy your friends.
Yeah, buy it.
Also,
and then you got to get a GameCube.
The Southern Island event, like the Eon ticket, was free at Toys R Us, though, wasn't it?
I think so, but you
Yeah.
had to like show up. It was like one of like 9 events that they housed, and it wasn't like at every Toys R Us.
Yeah.
It was at specific Toys R Us.
I think I remember looking one up, and there was one like 30 miles away, and I was like, I can't ask my parents to do this.
Right.
So, yeah, I wish it was the one that was like down the road. But...
Oh, get the Eon ticket at Toys R Us in Burbank.
Yeah, it's like, no, I don't think I can.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to make it, WB kids.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Can you email me one, please?
Right. But yeah, it was basically that. They also had some for Coliseum, but it was one of those products like the N64 disk drive that just never made it.
Yeah.
In the U.S. just because it was like another addition to
yeah, because
parents weren't going to buy it.
They are relatively cheap right now too. I'm guessing that there wasn't much that like you can't emulate at this point now.
No.
Yeah.
But the cards are rare.
It fell off.
Yeah, because like a complete set with the e-reader goes for like $350.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
which is steep, but for collectors, that's not that bad.
Exactly.
It's not that bad.
Exactly.
No, but if you wanted it just for like to do it, it's just a little too much.
Yeah. So now let's get into the legendary Pokemon in this game. And so first off, we are going to be talking about there are the 3 like the trifecta.
For whatever reason, they decided to make one of the legendary puzzles Braille.
Yeah.
Did you have to use Waterfall after using Dive?
I think it's
I was told not to chase them.
Waterfall?
It's cut, strength, and then I think you have to wait. Actually, is the puzzle.
Yeah, you had to wait like 2 minutes, just flat.
Just wait in front of the entrance.
So to activate the legendary Pokemon, you had to have a Pokemon with Dive, a Pokemon with like.
Well, you had to go to this obscure place that you never would have gone to.
Exactly.
Well, 2 of them are also really easy to find, and the third is not that easy to find.
No, I'm saying to activate it first.
Yeah.
It's like you had to like take a Pokemon like with Surf and Dive. You also had to have a Relicanth and a Wailord in your party within in certain slots of the party.
Which is cool because it made it so you actually caught them. Because if not, no one would ever use either of those Pokemon.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, I mean, I might have used Wailord. But, anyways, so, yeah, you have to, dive into this random spot off of the shore, west of...
No, it's Pacific Log Town.
Pacific Log, my bad, yeah. Sorry, Pacific Log. It's west of Pacific Log, east of Slateport.
There you go.
I'm an idiot, sorry. Yeah, so you dive, and you, have to do some stuff in this, random cave, and then, you hear these things go ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk.
Chunk. Yeah.
And then you have to find the temples to where the Regis are lying within, which is Regirock, Regice, and Registeel.
Mm-hmm.
And like they were saying, there's certain ways of awakening them or opening their chamber, where it's you had to fly in a certain spot, or you had to stand for two real minutes over there, just wait for it to just open by itself,
right?
Or use dig somewhere.
I think the cut one is you have to walk 2 up, 2 to the left, 2 down, and then cut.
Exactly. It was so strange. And so, the other 2 legendary Pokemon, the box legendaries, there's Groudon, then there's Kyogre, which we've already talked about a bit. And those ones you just get through the story. You have to encounter them regardless, so it's just there. Which is the first time, I think, where you actually you're forced an encounter with a legendary Pokemon.
Right.
I always hate how when they give you the legendary, it's such low level though.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm
What was
always
this one
higher.
40?
Yeah, well,
I think
45.
Yeah, I'm always higher level than it, and it's like you're a legendary, but you're weak.
Yeah, but then also post game, there's a couple more legendary Pokemon. There's, of course, we talked about it a little bit, the Latias and Latios, which are the roaming Pokemon.
Is it post game?
Yeah, they're post game.
Rayquaza?
Yes. Rayquaza is also post game.
Yeah, because
Oh.
it's level 70.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yep. So, yeah, those ones are all post game. So in Ruby and Sapphire, you can get either Latias or Latios respectively, and then the other one you get by the Eon ticket, which we mentioned a moment ago. But in Emerald, you get to pick which one you want to encounter. Yeah. So also the boxes were completely revamped in the PC, which instead of just like scrolling up and down to see your Pokemon and then having to save the game every time you want to switch the box, now it's just a full-on open system, which is now also set the standard for what we use.
Instead of almost using like a fucking absolute path Linux server for your box system.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they actually made it normal. And so now it's like, it's just an open like rectangle of like a, basically it's 6x5, and there's
which
quite a
might
bit
not
of
be a lot to some people, but for people like my wife, who she's a collector, so she wants to have an organized box and do all those boxes. It was huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also they had, if you needed more storage, they had an extra game called Pokemon Box, which at the time was $20, and it had like thousands and thousands of storage on there. But
Plus
now
3,000, I think.
Yeah, something like that. And so now, because I remember seeing that game at the store, nobody was buying it. But now it is one of the hardest to find GameCube games, like flat out.
What do you get from it? There's something that you get from it. I can't remember what it is.
I remember seeing it, but I've never like actually seen what it looks like in a game.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, it's let's see, special gift eggs. Yeah, you get a special egg by depending on how much Pokemon you deposit. So
That's what it was.
Yeah.
A surfing Pichu.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Surfing Pichu. Yeah, you got a Surfing Pichu. Also, Swablu with False Swipe, Extreme Speed Zigzagoon, Payday Skitty.
That would be worth it, Payday Skitty.
Yeah, that's dope.
Just because it's really Payday.
Mm-hmm.
No, I like the Extreme Speed Zigzagoon.
Yeah, and then there's different game modes, I guess. You could, like, the storage, of course. There's you store it to 1,500, not 3,000, 1,500.
How do you even do it?
You GBA connector to your
the GBA link cable.
Yeah, which is another thing you have to buy for Gen 3.
You need 2 GBAs?
No, you only need the game on the GameCube and your game on the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, so you would need a GameCube.
Yeah, so you need a GameCube, yes. So there's another thing you have to buy.
Yeah, this is a GameCube game, by the way. Yeah, but you need one of these things. One of these GameCube to Game Boy Advance link adapters. And so that way you connect it to your Game Boy Advance, and then you plug this part into your GameCube, and you use that as your controller as well.
Yeah. Right. Thank God they haven't changed the chargers.
Let's see. It is going for quite a bit.
140.
Yeah.
PAL version. Oh, that's like the Pacific Island.
Yeah. Look at this. Freaking $1,700, $2,000, $500 bidding. Like, that's insane. For it's just a storage. Like, at this point, like, it's cheaper to like get a GameCube and mod your GameCube.
Right.
Or Wii. Well, actually, no, I don't think you could do. I don't know if you could do it with Wii. I'm pretty sure you could do it with Wii. But,
GameCube game, no?
Yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't need the Game Boy player though, which is nice.
Did we talk about the Sky Pillar?
We did not talk about the Sky Pillar.
We kind of skipped over it.
Yeah. So the last Pokemon that you get, we mentioned it briefly, was Rayquaza, which is Dragon Flying type, and it's
shout out to Destiny Deoxys, by the way.
Oh yeah, shout out. That movie is great.
Shout out to Shiny Rayquaza.
Especially shout out to Shiny Rayquaza. So you get this by going to an area called the Sky Pillar, which is to the right of Pacific Log Town, and it's like right then up, and you can only access it post game. And you have to have your Mach Bike with you. You can't use the Acro Bike with it. You have to have the Mach Bike. And so you have to, like, roll through these, like, puzzle, like, patterns. And you have to speed through it. If you slow down or if you get, like, hit a rock, then you drop down these, like, cracked floors. And then
it's like on the last floor.
Yeah. No, it was the last 3 of them.
Yeah, the last couple of them.
Yeah.
I think it was a bunch of them.
Yeah, most of them had that. It's like the first floor obviously didn't, but then when
Like
you
they
go
were
up, all of them
easier.
had.
Like the
They
first
were
one was
easier, like
you
it's
do a
just
straight,
Yeah.
but then later you had to like do a zigzag with it.
Yeah, like I think the last one you literally have to do like a sharp L turn just
Dodge a
to get
rock.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. And then you battle Rayquaza, which is, in my opinion, one of the greatest Pokemon they ever introduced. It's one of the best,
I was right
ever.
about to say that. I think Rayquaza was the first Pokemon and one of the only Pokemon where when I got it, I felt like I got a legendary.
Yeah.
The power difference between Rayquaza and everything else was just night and day. You do the Elite Four and you're like, "Whew, that was hard." Then you do it with Rayquaza, who just used Outrage and just one-shots everything, and you're like, "This is what a legendary is supposed to be."
It's outrage.
It's like God mode basically.
It was.
Yeah.
It was so much stronger than everything. It was like, this is power.
I felt like it was stronger than Mewtwo. Like at least like when you
weren't
had
they
it,
the
like
same
I want to
level?
demolish
Level
it.
70?
Yeah, they were but level 70, but I felt like Rayquaza just demolished everything just right away.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think I like Mewtwo a little bit more than Rayquaza, but I think Rayquaza was the better Pokemon in my opinion.
All of this stuff, by the way, the Reggies, Latios, and Rayquaza are not told to you on how to get them.
Exactly.
You just left to figure it out.
Yeah, but I wandered into this guy because I was definitely I wanted to battle every trainer that I could, so I wandered in there before I beat the game. I can't go. Oh, sweet, I got to go back to it.
I got the strategy guide from the local library for $1. I like the official strategy guide. It was really cool.
Rich kids, am I right?
Yeah, freaking rich kid over here.
Strategy for quarters.
Rich get richer.
Yeah, but it's just a bourgeoisie, you know what I mean? But
Nazi.
Yeah, the Bushnazi.
The Bushnazi. Mirage Island
all over the
is
place.
the dumbest piece of kit that ever exists in a game. So, in order to get Mirage Island to exist, some things have to happen. First of all, every Pokemon that you catch has a randomized ID that is associated with it. In order to get Mirage Island to appear, you have to go to Pacific Log Town with a team of 6 Pokemon and ask him if he sees Mirage Island. If he does not see it, you need to go back to your box and either pick 6 different Pokemon or go out and catch 6 different Pokemon and go back each time and ask him if he sees the island every time. And I think the odds of finding Mirage Island are even bigger than finding a shiny Pokemon.
That's
really?
Which, for the record, shiny Pokemon odds are 1 in 8,192.
Yes, and I think even if you like max out your boxes at like 300, you will still not find it. Like you'll have to go.
So what is Mirage Island?
It's a island that exists between Pacific Log Town and Evergreen City, which I don't know why they call it a city because it's not a city; it's a Pokemon Center.
Yeah.
And it's an island that houses was it the Starfberry?
The Lychee Berry.
Is it the Lychee Berry?
Yeah,
I thought it was the Starfberry.
No, it's Lychee.
Is it Lychee? Okay.
Yeah.
The Lychee Berry is the only place in Pokemon Sapphire and Ruby that you can catch Wynot in the wild. That's the only thing that's there is the Lychee Berry and wild Wynot.
That seems like a complete waste.
And it's only one Lychee Berry, by the way.
Only one Lychee Berry because the flavor text. What does it do, actually? It increases attack in battle, I think.
It's something really good. It's like one of the best berries in the game.
Yeah, but I think the flavor text with the Lychee Berry is that it's like super mysterious and grows at the end of the world or something
and it
like
makes
that.
gold. It makes gold Pokeblocks, which is the best Pokeblock in the game.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and the Wynots are level 5 to 50.
What does it say? Up to 6,000, 65,000. What?
Every day at midnight, a random number going up to 65,535 is generated. If the number matches with the personality value of your Pokemon when divided by 65,536, you'll be granted access for the island for a day. Number is fixed during the day, and thus, if you deposit the winning Pokemon in the PC, you can still go onto the island for some reason. If your in-game clock maxes out, the numbers are no longer generated, so you better hope that happens on a day you can go to the island.
So berry glitch.
Once again, strikes once again.
Yeah, to the one unimportant thing in the game.
I've seen people like what do you call it? Like Game Shark Mirage Island in order just to like shiny hunt the Wynot. But there are people who are like wholly committed to getting Mirage Island to appear naturally and then do the shiny hunt of why not on the island.
That's absurd. That is.
It is absurd because the odds of getting both is crazy. But there are people that hunt that. Was it the 1 in 65,000 shiny Gyarados in black?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's people that do that. So God save those people.
Yeah, first of all, through God, all things are possible, to jot that down. So, what would you guys give Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire as a rating out of 10?
I give it an 8.
I was about to say I give it an 8.
I would have to agree. I would give it an 8 out of 10.
If you were doing like numerical, like digits, probably like an 8.5. But as like a number, I don't think it's a 9, so I'd give it an 8.
Yeah, I mean, I do half numbers. Bono did it once. I was looking back on our previous videos, and he did it once. But he said he doesn't like to. But I do half numbers if I want, because I don't give a shit. It's still within 10. And so, yeah, it was very, very solid. There were things that they could have worked on, which they did, and they perfected on Emerald. Which, yeah, I mean, it was very, very good, though. And it holds up very well today. But it's just that Emerald is so much better.
It's just Emerald is the polished version.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why it's so widely loved.
And I never had Emerald growing up. My neighbors across the street had them. But I didn't get Emerald until my sophomore year. There was a kid that we went to school with. His name was Austin. And he was going to give it to me. Like, he was going to give me the game for free. And I was like, no.
Give it to you, all right.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm going to give you money for it because, like, I'm not going to take this from you. Like, this game has
so
money.
You were stealing shit from people even back then.
Your words, not mine. And so I gave him $5 for Emerald, which now that game is going for like over $100 now. Shit.
But to me, it speaks volumes to knowing that I had Ruby, I got Emerald, never touched Ruby ever again.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally only played Emerald.
Yeah, because I played through Sapphire. Well, recently I had a mostly completed file of Sapphire, so I used that, but I should have just done Emerald the whole time because it just had everything I needed in that game. I later on like sped through Emerald, just like I just did a Swampert only run essentially, just to get through the game and beat it so I could get all the items. Because I had to play through Emerald to get another TM26. Because
Emerald released when?
Emerald released
2005.
So for Japan, it released September 16, 2004. For the US, May 1st, 2005.
That was 2 years later?
Yeah. Australia was June 9th, 2005, and Europe was October 21st, 2005.
And I say here that it sold significantly less copies.
Well, it's also because it's a sequel one, and the other one is like the main games, and there was like 2 of them.
We have Pokemon at home. Mom, I want new Pokemon. We have Pokemon at home.
The Pokemon
That's basically what happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like the definitive versions never sell as much because people already invest in the very first one. But even though they're obviously the better ones, like look at any of the sales numbers.
With like Crystal?
All of them. I think Crystal's the worst selling Pokemon game.
Really?
I believe so. The install base on the DS was more than it was on the Game Boy for like this, or at least the Game Boy Color. But let me look it up. I know I have the numbers somewhere. I just gotta find it.
While Alex is doing that, let's roll on to the better version of the game, Pokemon Emerald.
Yes.
Obviously went over how much it sold and what days it released, but let's talk about the differences between Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald. Biggest thing, not really, because I never had an e-reader. I knew what it was, but I didn't have it. They removed e-reader support, so no longer could you use the e-reader cards to get anything in Emerald. That was just a big thing. It just didn't do too well here in the States, so yeah.
I feel like the biggest thing was one of the biggest things that they added to was double battles. They really went hard into double battles.
They did, yeah.
So like any option where it could be a double battle, it was a double battle. And they always left you options where like you could pick and battle them one at a time, like if you manually ran over and clicked on them. But it seems like they really said, "Oh, people love this. I'm gonna put it everywhere."
Found it.
And it was super successful with that.
So what is the worst selling Pokemon game?
So this picture I had from the Legends episode. But yeah, so Pokemon Crystal is the worst selling with 6.3 million units.
Wow.
Emerald was 7,060,000 units. Platinum was 7.6 million units.
Wow.
But the best selling was Red, Green, and Blue with 31.3 million units sold worldwide.
I have Blue in here? I don't think I do.
Yeah, this was as of March of 2022, by the way. So, yeah, Yellow is about middle range. Yeah, the definitive versions are always less selling. Like you see, like Ruby and Sapphire was 16.2.
It makes sense.
And that was actually under Sun and Moon, which is interesting.
Because if a parent is gonna buy them a game, games are expensive.
Yeah.
So if they're like, yes, Emerald is significantly better, I could see why people wouldn't get it.
Because it's the same price.
It's just polished, and you're like, yes, you already have that.
Exactly.
If you're like, Mom, it's different, they're like, how is it different? Because it's green, and you're like,
green.
Yeah. Also, it's $5 more than Ruby and Sapphire as well. Like, because the games prior to this were $35. Then this one's $40.
Rats.
Or actually, no, I'm sorry. So I remember this now. It was $35 at launch, but then GameStop was reselling it, like the pre-owned, for $39.99. So
rats.
GameStop were rats at this time. I remember this specifically.
I think.
But I would kill for $40 for Emerald at this point, even though I do have a copy. Like that's like the best deal you could find.
So we talked about how double battles were everywhere.
Yeah.
It was really, they went hard into it.
Yeah. Eid Readers support was removed.
Yep. Bono said that.
Yep.
They added an optional battle with your rival in Rustboro.
Yeah. Also,
was it like difficult, or was it just like?
No, it was just another battle that you could do. You didn't have to. You just passed them up, and it wouldn't matter. They also changed the costumes. Now you have a green hat or a green bandana.
Correct. And also the white on Brendan's head is not his hair. That's a hat.
Right.
Yeah. So because
I didn't know that was like an argument.
Well, I mean, for me, I didn't know that when I was a kid.
It was
I thought
also Brendan's not wearing a tracksuit anymore. He's wearing like
your
what
shorts?
is it? Yeah, he's got shorts and sweats on. I don't know what combination you call that. And then he's also got like a shirt, like a short sleeve shirt on.
You call that drip?
Drip.
So also, Groudon and Kyogre are now not part of the main game really. Like they're more so, or at least to capture them, they have certain areas now, the Terra Cave and the Marine Cave, and they're also at higher levels. They're at level 70, I believe.
I mean, they are part of the main game.
Yeah, they are part of it, but at least not acquirable.
They're the danger.
I thought that when you got them was post game.
Yeah.
And you had to go to the weather forecast, and they said, "Hey, it's super rainy here. Hey, it's super sunny here."
Right.
And then
I think you can check the TVs too.
Yep.
TVs will have news reports. They'll tell you.
Exactly.
I thought that was a cool concept because it was like roaming, but not roaming because I hate roaming.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I thought it was a cool.
Yeah. Roaming in Gen 4 is where they had it best because of the dual screens.
They also pick and chose which parts of the team story is, because I believe it's Team Aqua that's looking at the museum. Team Magma, I believe, is trying to steal the.
Strongly disagree with your roaming in Gen 4. I hate it when you like go through one little walkway and then it was here and now the Pokemon's over here and you're like, I don't know what to do.
I mean, it's easier than going to the menu and then seeing and checking the map, then going back. It's like you just have the two screens, so you just have the Poketch map right there. You just go back and forth. It's so much easier.
I would get so upset when I go like, in a tunnel to go to where they're at, and they just like teleport over here.
Oh yeah, no, you just go to Floroma Town. That shit was easy. Yeah, you don't have to go through any cutscenes or anything. You just go in between, and it was like right there. Yeah, it was a cinch to get the roaming Pokemon in that game.
Yeah, so they pick and chose like different events to keep driving the plot with Team Magma and Team Aqua forward.
Yeah.
They also added Team Magma's based in the volcano, which makes tons of more sense than having it be in the water by Lily Cove.
Cooler how when Rayquaza comes in, it's like to stop the fight and he comes down.
Yeah.
He yells.
Yeah, it's just like a dad when coming in the middle of the night when the kids are fighting, they won't go to sleep. You're like, shut the fuck up. And it's basically what Rayquaza is doing at this point. Rayquaza's just being dad.
So what changed with the hideouts?
Just the location of the Magma one being in the volcano, and then the Aqua one is accessible at the point in the story.
Exactly.
Stay the same.
Yeah. Like, a lot of these points that we have over here are just, like, small things, so...
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's just mainly the differences between this from Ruby and Sapphire, so... Like, the
You can pick which Lottie you wanted now in Emerald.
Exactly. And then the other one is by the Eon ticket. And then, gym leaders could be rebattled as doubles now, which is kind of cool.
Such a small feature that I've always loved. I've always loved going back and kicking the gym leader's ass again. Be like, oh, you want throw down again?
Yeah. Now they have the match call with the trainers instead of trainer's eye.
Yeah, it's that way. It's kind of like better than the Verse Seeker.
Yep. Then there's Altering Cave, which that one you access after you beat the game, and it's kind of by the Trick House, like left of the Trick House. And you can find some Gen 2 Pokemon in there, similar to Fire and Leaf Greens, where you can find like Stantler and Smeargle and Dunsparce and stuff like that.
Because fuck you.
Exactly.
Because they were activated by an event that you had to go to, but they never had the events. So it was literally just a cave you go get Zubat in.
I don't remember the Altering Cave.
Yeah, it's literally
Exactly.
You wouldn't have bothered with it because there's nothing in there besides Zubat.
Safari Zone is updated.
Yes, they added an entire new section to the Safari Zone, and it's probably the best Safari Zone addition they probably could have done, because you have to get there using the Acro Bike, I believe, and then once you're there, you can get access to like a ton of Gen 2 Pokemon, which they added in this game because they realized, oh hey, you can't complete the national text because there's no way to get Gen 2 Pokemon in this game. So you catch Pokemon like Houndour, Pineco, the Mareep, Gligar, Miltank, Apom, Sunkern. I don't think you get Spinarak.
So I'm not a completionist person, but I think the only Safari Zone I've ever really like dove into was Gen 1 and Gen 3. Like I feel like those were really, you got something out of it. Like,
Shuckle. You could also get Shuckle there. I and many other people enjoy the Emerald Safari Zone just because of Johto Pokemon in Gen 3.
I didn't really delve too much into it, but I mainly was playing Ruby over Emerald because I didn't have Emerald as a kid. And I just never really spent the time to actually like indulge in Emerald as much. Yeah, but also you could get the Johto starters. We're talking about Johto Pokemon. So after you complete the Ho Index, then Professor Birch will give you either Chikorita, Cyndaquil, or Totodile, which I thought was really cool because Johto Pokemon they were very scarce in Gen 3. And also, because you couldn't transfer Pokemon from Gen 2 to Gen 3, this is pretty much like one of the few ways you could get those Pokemon.
Oh, speaking of which, I know Emerald has broken RNG, and there's nothing you can do to fix it. There's no patch or anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think you can encounter random wild shiny Pokemon, but you can't encounter static encounter Pokemon without abusing a method that they have in the game.
Weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
You're talking about like a legendary, like a Reggie?
Yeah, like a Reggie, you'd have to it's this thing you get after you get to the Battle Frontier. It's called like the battle video. And you record something, and then when you want to do an encounter, you have to play the video, stop it, and then do the encounter, because for whatever reason, like the frames that are needed to like change the value of the Pokemon are locked in the regular game, but can be changed if you play the battle video.
Weird. Oh.
So it's like an extra step you can do to get the Reggies and also the Johto starters.
Was that in Ruby as well?
No, it was fine in Ruby and Sapphire, but in Emerald the RNG was broken.
Also,
for static encounters.
A new thing that they added too. So we didn't really talk about it too much, but there was a couple mythical Pokemon in this game that you couldn't acquire by normal means, obviously. So there's Jirachi and there's Deoxys. So Jirachi you could only get by, at least in the US, there's a pre-order disc for Pokemon Coliseum that had a distribution of Jirachi. So that's how you got the Jirachi in the game.
I don't think that one's worth as much as Pokemon Box. I think the biggest I've ever seen it is like $500.
Exactly. And then Deoxys is the other one, which you have to get by like mystery gift methods, essentially. And so you go to this area called Birth Island, and you encounter it there. It's only like level 30. It's very weak. But so Deoxys has three forms in Ruby and Sapphire. There's a regular, there's an attack form, and there's a defense form. Yeah, no, it's just the regular attack and defense. But then in Emerald, they add speed form.
Oh, no. I was thinking of Fire and Leaf Green. I thought in Fire and Leaf Green it has the attack and defense form, and in Emerald and Ruby and Sapphire it only has the normal and the speed form.
Yeah, so in Ruby and Sapphire it's the regular form, but then if you trade to Fire Red or Leaf Green, then you get either attack or defense, respectively. But then Emerald has the speed form. And then later on in other games, they'd have like meteorites where you could change the Deoxys at its will. But I think when you transfer it from game to game, then it turns its form from that.
I don't think I've ever used a mythical Pokemon in any game.
I've used Jirachi in Heart Gold.
I think the last time I did that was this generation. I think I used Kyogre.
Because very seldomly do I use Pokemon that don't evolve.
Yeah, same. I usually don't use one-off Pokemon. Or single stage, I should say.
Mythicals, I don't know. Maybe because they look like a little baby to me. I don't feel like using them, but...
Depends on the Pokemon. I did Drampa in Sun, and that was a mistake.
That counts as mythical?
No, it was a Pokemon
Wow.
that didn't evolve.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, one of the few that I used was Pinsir, but, I mean, it had a Mega Evolutions, and it made a lot more worth it. Like, Mega Pinsir was just amazingly good. At least while playing through the game, I loved it. But, yeah, so also, there was, so some abilities that they have now have have usage outside of the battles. So, for example, like Magma Armor, if you have an egg...
Pull,
yeah.
Attic.
Exactly. So it's like if you have Magma Armor on a Pokemon on your team and you have an egg, it'll help reduce the steps that you need to hatch it. There are things like
Illuminate.
that.
So what is Chandelure's called? Flame Body?
Flash Fire.
Yeah, Flash Fire, Flame Body. Flame Body is the one that helps with...
one that does the same thing. Helps with eggs.
Yeah, eggs is by...
yeah, Flame Body does.
Yeah,
Flash Fire just boosts for if you get hit with a fire attack.
Exactly. Yeah, so some of the berries will help raise friendship, and it helps lower EV. So if you want to like EV train a certain Pokemon, you could do that. There are contests only held now in Lily Cove, so the other ones got switched out to they switched out to being battle tents, which I'm not too familiar with. I don't know if
they had like certain restrictions on the battle rules, but it's nothing like nothing too crazy.
And because I found having the contests all in one area, it's very convenient. But Bono mentioned a while ago that it kind of takes out the immersion of like, oh yeah, I'm traveling and I'm like going to bigger, better places. It's just you're kind of just more in one spot, which I guess for convenience.
It also doesn't help
really
that
nice.
The slate port one that you see first is like what, the normal one?
Yeah,
or like
it's like the third. It's like the third one.
Yeah, the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying. It kind of takes the journey.
Yeah, the journey out of it.
There's something that you could do, like, because a lot of places where it wasn't a gym. So it's like, okay, I'm at this town. There's no gym, but at least I can do this. And you keep on going, but at least I can do this. But at this, there's like, now it's just an empty town.
Exactly.
A shopping mall.
Exactly.
Right.
Or an outdoor market.
So also, now that the 8th gym leader, Wallace, is now replaced by Juan, who was the mentor of Steven.
Did they change the gym puzzle? I don't think they did.
No, it's completely the same. It's just that Juan's the new gym leader. And Wallace is now the champion. And so, yeah, you beat Wallace the champion, and Steven is now found post-game. I believe, he's in Meteor Falls, right?
Meteor Falls, yeah.
Yeah, and he has a souped-up team. I mean, it's just stronger, basically, but nothing really different from his final team in the Elite Four. Yeah, and then the fossils are now found, instead of just being out in the open in the desert, now they're found in a Mirage Tower, basically, so...
Which is time-based.
Yes?
I thought it only appeared at certain, like, either date or time.
No, I think you just
I don't remember it being there all the time.
Well, I mean, once you get the fossils, it collapses. This whole tower collapses.
Yeah, but I thought it was... I don't remember it being there the entire time. I thought you had to
remember, but let me look it up.
But anyway, it was a cool thing because everything I didn't like about the fossils in the previous game, I did like. Yeah, it's not there all the time.
It only appears after talking to the Ruin Maniac in Fall Arbor, and then it'll be there after you talk to the one guy right past Fall Arbor Town.
Okay.
I must have talked to him all the time because I don't ever remember it not being there.
Yeah, because
anyway,
he gives you dig.
All the faults we had with the fossils in the first game, they fixed it. They made it like an actual mystery to go and get it. It was a cool little extra little polish to make it seem like you're actually doing something instead of just getting a handout.
Exactly.
And you can also get the other fossil. I think it's post game now because you get Ditto in that cave.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember getting the other fossil.
Yeah, I don't recall that either. But
yeah. You talk to the same guy that gives you dig, and he's like digging in his house. He's like digging a hole in the back of his house, and it's kind of like that Nugget guy. Like when you talk to him in Sinnoh, like when you come back to him, he'll have like actually dug a tunnel into an entirely new area, and that area is where you catch a bunch of Ditto, and then if you keep following it all the way to the end, you can find the other fossil. So you get both fossils.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That just jogged my memory.
Yeah. So you get both fossils in one game.
Yeah. Oh, that's also, cool. So the first generation where they have this over here, where Bono and I are very happy about it. This is the first generation with the Battle Frontier. So long gone are the days of just one battle tower for now.
7 facilities.
Yeah, so there's 7 different facilities.
I always remember the Survivor one.
Yeah, the Battle Pike.
Battle Pike.
Yes.
Lucy.
Yes. Yeah. because there is multiple facilities. There's the Battle Pike, the Battle Dome, the Factory, the Arena, the Palace, the Pyramid, the Tower, the Tents. Well, the Tents isn't really anything. But,
were they all
yeah.
different, or were they all the same thing?
Oh yeah, they were
All
100% different.
All had different features to them. So
yeah,
Battle
I think
Tower
the Battle Palace is the one where you only get 3 moves, right?
I think. Yeah, so the Battle Tower is the one that we all know. You just battle like marathon battling.
With Annabelle.
Yeah, exactly.
And her broken-ass team.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and click it. I think she has a Raikou and an Alakazam.
Yeah, so we'll look at all of them. The Battle Pike. So this one is just random. Basically, you enter with 3 doors, and essentially you are just battling versus... you could, I don't know, you just fucking battle shit.
I think it's 7 rooms, and then it resets, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's Lucy as the final trainer.
Yeah, so I think it's 21 and then 49. So if you do 21 battles...
28.
Was it 28?
28 and 140.
Wow, really?
140?
140.
Oh, they must have changed it in the later versions.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's...
What is their team in the first...
Viper, Milotic, and Shuckle, and then Viper, Gyarados, and Steelix.
Yikes. The last one is a yikes.
Yeah. And so, after that is the Battle Dome, which this one is just kind of like a tournament, it seems like.
It is. You also get to, like, peek at your the other person's team, depending on, like, the points you get and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then Tucker is the Battle Brain, or the Frontier Brain, with Swampert, Salamander, Charizard, or Swampert, Latias, and Metagross.
The gym trainer kind of looks like kind of reminds me of the inspiration for Heartholm Gym in the next game.
Fantina?
Yeah, with the hair.
At the end of your 10 consecutive wins in the tournament, what does it say? A total of 39 battles?
Total 39 battles, 1-on-1 only, challenged by the Dome Leader, beat him, and you should get the Gold Battle Dome badge.
Okay, what's the first one? 19 battles?
That is, 19 battles.
Okay, so they didn't have it, like, set yet.
No.
I think the Gen 4 is when they have it.
Mm-hmm. Then after that is the Battle Factory, which this one is, like, you get to pick between 3 Pokemon that are on a list, 3 random Pokemon, and you have to battle other Pokemon with random ones. And after you beat them, then you get to you can have the option of taking one of them.
It's basically Battle City in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Mm-hmm.
You beat the guy, you get to keep one of his Pokemon, or you keep one of his cards.
Exactly. And then at the end of it, there is Noland, who has Grovyle, Octillery, and Omastar.
Ooh.
And then, or at least that's the team that they battle. It's random as well, by the way. This is all random.
Okay.
And so, yeah, these are at least some of the examples, but it's completely random. So you kind of just have to be lucky, I guess. Let RNGesus take the wheel.
All right.
Then there's the battle.
This was really their selling point for why you should get the game. It's
exactly
of this.
Yeah, Battle Arena, which is kind of like a contest. So yeah, the mind, skill, and body categories. You battle through it, whatever it is, all this stuff. You can see it on the screen. But yeah, Greta is the Frontier Brain with Heracross, Umbreon, Shedinja.
Greta.
Yeah, and then Umbreon, Gengar, and Breloom as the final team.
Oh, look at that physical Gengar, dude. That thing's a threat.
Yeah, the sprite looks so weird on this one too, by the way.
Look at Heracross, it's like bowing.
Mm-hmm.
Super purple.
Yep. Next one is Battle Palace. So this one, explain, Bono. I don't get it.
I don't think I got rid of the Battle Palace. It's a 3v3 battle. I remember that, and then there was like some mechanic to it. I see natures, but I don't understand what the point was.
Spencer is a Suicune. That's all I care about. Anyways, then there's the Battle Pyramid.
The Battle Pyramid.
Which this one was kind of cool. I did this one and I had fun with it. So essentially you have to go through... yeah?
Pause. You can actually shiny hunt in.
What?
Yeah, there's a glitch that you can do with this game. It's called the Palm Egg Berry glitch. It actually gets you a lot in this game because you get like a ton of eggs and stuff from it for Pokemon that you can't catch, like Celebi and Deoxys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you can use this glitch to put 4 Master Balls in your bag that you get when you start your challenge. And then with that, if you catch, because you go in with a team of 3, if you catch another 3, then your team will be full. So whatever you catch after will go straight to your PC. Mm-hmm. And there's different levels to the Battle Pyramid. You might want to pull it up on Bulbapedia, because I don't think they have it on here. But the Pokemon that you can get from this place are like really ridiculous.
Yeah, there's some
really
crazy ones.
Wait, I didn't even know you can catch Pokemon and that.
You can't normally, but when you use the glitch, you can get 4 Master Balls in your bag, and then, like I said, you catch 3, and then
so
whatever.
Catch their Pokemon?
Not people's. There's like random wild,
like
Pokemon
wild
in here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it's kind of like it's up. It's kind of like a survival challenge.
Yeah.
Like you have to keep your Pokemon alive and stuff through there.
Yeah. It's so random. Like it's
Yeah, so you
all
can
over the
get like
place.
Charizard and like Aerodactyl, Gyarados, like all on one floor too.
Gengar, Crobat,
Yeah.
Dragonair, Walrein,
And you can't run from the Pokemon?
Heracross.
I think you can.
And they could go upwards of level 100.
Yeah, you can get like really crazy with the levels.
Mm-hmm.
And as also like the Pokemon that you can find, and it's all like type based, I think, per level.
Yeah. Yeah, it's type based, and then exactly. But moving on from there is your typical battle tower. So it's just a gauntlet essentially.
With Annabelle. Oh, did Brandon have the Regis?
Yeah, Brandon had the Regis and then the birds.
It's Regis and then the birds.
Yeah,
and then Annabelle has, I think, Raikou and Alakazam.
Right.
I don't think anybody has Entei.
Not that I
don't think I
of.
saw any Frontier Brains had them.
But we mentioned it later on that the Desert Underpass has the other fossil. Now you can get Mew in this game, also via an event.
Also can get it shiny.
Faraway Island.
I think you get Mew and Rayquaza the same way. You actually run away from them if they're not shiny, and then just like leave the area and come back.
And on Naval Rock Island, which also allows you to get Lugia and Ho-Oh. There is some updated plot, more so with Team Magma, and also that Rayquaza intervenes with them, which we mentioned earlier.
I think Wallace, instead of going to the Cave of Origin to stop them, Wallace tells you to go to Sky Pillar.
Exactly, yeah. You're advised to go to Sky Pillar rather than
the Cave of Origin.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like going down to find them,
Yeah. Then also that they bring back the animated sprites like they had in Pokemon Crystal, which was really cool. It added that level of like
they move.
Yeah. And also there are Pokemon from Gen 3 that were missing in this game that you can't get. That you have to have Ruby or Sapphire to get. So the Surskit line, the Meditite line, Roselia, Zangoose, and Lunatone are all not available in Emerald.
No Roselia.
Yeah, all the most of all the version exclusives are gone.
Yeah, it's essentially like it's like they picked and chose some of them from each game to allow them to not be in the game, I guess.
Right.
But Emerald, as we mentioned, is the definitive best version of these games. I would have to give this game a 9 out of 10.
9. I'm a 9.
Yeah. I'm a 9.
The entire Frontier gives me another point.
I still think it is the best Pokemon game.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's a Pokemon game that's a 10. So like that's where I sit. I think
I forget. Did I give Heart Gold Soul Silver a 10?
I think this, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Crystal are all 9s. But I think this, for how revolutionary it was, and how many aspects that have continued to stay in the game for 10 more years.
Completely.
20 more years, actually, because it was 2002. It's just fundamentally how this is the best game.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, this is one of the best games. Easily, in my opinion, it's the best game on the Game Boy Advance.
We talked about this a lot when we used to talk. I like the fact that Generation 3 was actually like a generation of games rather than just like another one game after that, because we have Ruby and Sapphire, which contains the Hoenn plot. We also get Emerald, which is the definitive version. We also get the Kanto remakes, Fire Red and Leaf Green. And then also on top of that, we get both Coliseum and XD, which is like, a family of games that all interconnect with each other that you can, do stuff. Exactly. And we haven't had anything like that since.
Yeah, it was a lot of connectivity, which I like that they were integrating a bit, but it was expensive in the long run for making everything connect with each other. But it was the payoff was so worth it though. Like what?
Right. I really wish we could have something like that now. Yeah. Like if you could take pictures of Pokemon and snap and get them, like actually catch them.
Yeah.
Or if you could get Pokemon Mystery Dungeon to come to your main game or stuff, or send Pokemon to Mystery Dungeon, stuff like that.
If they did stuff like that, that'd be really cool. But
I really wish they could interconnect games like that these days. But the
only connectivity we have is to Pokemon Go basically, or bring your Pokemon over from the 3DS. But that's not really fun.
Home.
Yeah,
Pokemon Home.
Because
it's not fun. It doesn't feel like as immersive as like going through like XD. Like, oh yeah, I went through this whole adventure and now I can bring it to the main games.
And it's not like you're trying to complete the Pokédex. Like I beat Sapphire. Now I got to go through Kanto and catch all 151, and then I have to pick and choose which Johto Pokemon I could get from each game to complete the Pokédex.
Right. Exactly. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add.
If you talk about two games that were pinnacle to my childhood, it was Ratchet and Clank, and it was this.
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal was definitely a game I put some hours into with my friend Michael. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. You know, the whole YouTube deal. Thank you again to Greg for joining us for this episode of Babblers, because this was really fun. I love having a guest on here, and I hope that we can have more guests in the future for this.
Yeah, an actual guest, not some rat.
Yeah, exactly. It's just more of a like a leech.
Alex, you're so far away. I can't get to you.
Get to me. Come here, boy.
Can't. There's something in between us.
Pull.
Something's separating us.
It's a paywall. It's only on Patreon. Yeah, we will catch you later for the next episode of Babblers. Later.
Which should be
Fire Red Leaf Green.
Fire Red Leaf Green.
Yes,
right.
Fire Red Leaf Green is next. Later.